Oh, Isaac. Eh?
Yeah?
Oh, okay.
Ah.
It's your boy Young Love, I give him that thing. Until leg stand and punchy America, Banyi Banaban, until leg stand and punchy America, Banyi Banaban, walk on your leg, Kankara, what on a watching, Oga, leg, gear, wow, leg, Panda with ya, punchy America, Banya Dwalavan, Chingatonga Pandon, could you ever buy a check? Papu Panda Jiro, what ya be Dwalavan. Stand and punchy America, Banyi Banaban, until leg stand and punchy America, Banyi Banaban, walk on your leg, Kankara, what on a watching, Oga, leg, gear, wow, leg, Panda with ya, punchy America, Panya Dwalavan, Chingatonga Pandon, Kujura by a check.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in to Lake State Media Show. Welcome to the show. We're hosting Ambassador Mr. Emmanuel Ajawin. While we're waiting for Emmanuel Ajawin, our guest, you share the video, guys, share it, and we will be playing some songs here while we're waiting. All right there. We have another one, Thomas.
Start sharing the video, guys. Start sharing the video. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Adu. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you, Aduma Kuratorbe.
Santino Majur, we cannot send the thing out, my brothers. Sorry.
Wow. Very good, Thomas.
You beraja bebe ku kura wait. You beraja di retu makur.
Welcome back to Lagos State Media Show. Welcome, Ambassador. Good morning, good evening, wherever everybody is tuning in. We welcome you all. Back to you, Abraham.
Thank you, Isaac. Welcome, Ambassador Emmanuel Ajawin. Welcome to Lagos State Media for the third time. Thank you for tuning in tonight and update us about the talk in Rome. And also for those of you who are watching, thank you for watching, and please start sharing the video. House rule is very simple. Please be respectful to one another. We don't see any bad word that you are reading. We will give you a warning, delete your comment, and then if you do it again, we have a right to block you. And we are here, we always disagree and respect one another. So another thing too, we are live 3-way in Lagos State Media page and Lagos State Media timeline and on YouTube. So for those of you who are having a YouTube account, please feel free to click on the Lagos State Media YouTube account there. And another thing too, for those of you who are asking about the link, today's show is an interview. So mostly Lagos State Media always, if we conduct an interview, we don't share the link. We don't allow anybody to come in. Lagos State Media staff can interact with our guests through the questioning. And also, if you have a question later on, we will open the floor by sending you your question through the comment page. site, and then we will pull up your question to Ambassador Emmanuel to read and then answer you. But we cannot able to bring you on the platform on the live show. So that is what we want. So watch, and then we will react. Now I will go back and give back to Isaac and Bolmakur, and before we start our first question. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Abraham. Before we start any question, first of all, I would like also my brother Bolmakur to greet the people, and I will play a clip here, a video, and then this is where we will start from there. Abraham, Bolmakur, unmute yourself, unmute. Yeah.
Thank you, Isaac. You hear me now?
Yep, loud and clear.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Abraham Adid. First and foremost, I'm happy to welcome Ambassador Emmanuel Ajawin to Lake State Media. And before we proceed to our interview, Ambassador is here, and I would like everybody to be most respectful in your comment. We are not enemies to each other. We are the citizens of South Sudan. The reason why we are here is that we want to hear from the ambassador what's the progress of the peace negotiating. That's why we are here. So I would like everybody to pay attention to what we ask ambassador and ambassador responses. So thank you so much. I will give the floor to Isaac.
Thank you so much, Abraham. We will share a clip here.
Moving on, the government delegation to Rome peace talks returned to Juba on Monday after 5 days of negotiation with South Sudan opposition movement alliance. The deputy head of delegation, Dr. Barnaba Mariel Benjamin, who is also the spokesperson of the team, told SSBC at Juba International Airport upon arrival that the two sides agreed on 9 points out of 11 presented by the mediation team. The 3 points were deferred to a January meeting after consultation. Dr. Barnaba described the progress as commendable. He said it shows commitment by both parties to continue negotiation in good faith. The people of South Sudan should be stressed and uphold the unity of the people of South Sudan in order to create a nation in its various that accommodates its diversities. That one, of course, SSOMA again thought that the issue of ethnicity and was also stressed, and that the issue of dignity, they needed to be used a particular word, and that is we're saying uphold is enough. Dignity and unity of the country. The third one was connected with the text, the final text of the Constitution, of the permanent Constitution. We would think that the Constitutional Assembly should be the one to rectify it. Moving on, the government delegation to Rome peace talks returned to Juba on Monday after 5 days of negotiation with South Sudan opposition movement alliance. The head of
I think the message is very clear there. We will leave it that way. We were just holding to see and hear from the side of the government delegation on their arrival in the Juba International Airport. We have seen Dr. Barnaba Marial Benjamin was giving some good remarks there. I apologize for the audio is not very clear, but we pick up the message. I'll give it back to you, Abraham, and take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Welcome again, Ambassador Emmanuel. Question, just simple, just can you let us, we will give you this chance to introduce yourself and then tell us the meeting that SSOMA and government that discussed in Rome.
Thank you, Medit. Also, I thank Brother Isaac, and I thank Brother Bull, and also greet the audience who are watching tonight on this Lake State Media. for hosting me, and also for me to interact with you, so that we could inform you about what really took place in Rome. I've just watched the clip and the statement made by Dr. Barnaba Marial Benjamin, who is the government's spokesperson to the peace talks in Rome. The overall environment of discussion, of course, was tense, but that is normal in any peace talks, because after all, we are dealing with issues that are affecting us personally in our country. So people always, temperature do rise and goes down sometimes, but that is the nature of the talks. We could describe the talks that it has been a very cordial talks, brotherly, sisterly talks between the people of South Sudan. Yes, we have agreed on a lot of points, but of course, there are a couple of points of divergence that still need further consultations. But let me go through the process and what we have agreed upon. You know, what we have been saying is this. We are still at a very initial and a very beginning of the start of the process itself. We haven't yet reached the discussion, what we call the substantive discussion of the root causes of the conflict. What we've been doing now is trying to agree on what we call the Declaration of Principles, because the Declaration of Principles becomes a guiding document that will guide us in the substantive discussions that will follow. So we have agreed to have an introduction, or what you may call a preamble, and then we have what we call the principles, or the operational paragraphs that will guide the discussion. So the issues that we're trying to do is that within the Declaration of Principles, we must agree on the issues, broader issues that will actually guide us in the further discussion. So that is why the Declaration of Principles is important. It shows the political commitment of the parties if it is signed. And secondly, also, it gives a clear understanding and meeting of minds between the two parties as to the issues that they would like to discuss. In the first instance, in the envisaged Declaration of Principles, we agree that we acknowledge that the suffering of the people of South Sudan is due to the conflict and the infernal civil war that started in 2013. The crisis to all, if all of us who have been following in our country, and the genesis of the crisis is started because of the political differences between the SPLM military and political elites, and it led into an atune of civil war in our country that engulfed the whole country, from Juba, the capital itself. It went to Upper Nile, it went to Barghazal, now the Greater Equatorial. So the whole country was at war, and this was caused none other than the irresponsible behaviors and the abrasive behaviors by the SPLM political elites with their prefixes. So we agreed and we acknowledged that the suffering of our people in South Sudan was a result of the current conflict. Now, we in SOMA, we said that we are convinced that the conflict in our country, although it started as a political conflict, it degenerated to an ethnic conflict too. Because if you see the political differences that was there between the SPLM and what they call the yearning for democratic reform within their party called SPLM, these various political views of how to democratize the SPLM led to what was known as the 6th of December conference of the SPLM senior leaders, led by Dr. Riak, Madame Rebecca Nyandeng, those of Pagana Moom, those of Uyai Deng Ajak, those of Majanga Got, those of Alfred Lado Gore. It is that 6th of December conference that the people of South Sudan came to know the depth of the political differences and the apogee between the camp that was led by Dr. Riak and the camp of Salva Kiir Mayardi. It is straight after this conference, with just a couple of days, that the country was thrown to war. So it was a political difference. You could see in the conference, the people that I mentioned, they came from mostly the 64 tribes of South Sudan. You had the Dinka, you had the Shuluk, you had the Equatorians, the Bare, you had the Nuers, you had everybody in terms of the SPLM conference that was held. But on the 15th of December, we saw something that was unusual. There was a targeting of the Nuers ethnic group inside Juba. But this came actually after President Salva Kiir put on his military uniform, and he said that we will not allow the 1991 to happen again. So that was a clear message. What happened in 1991? What happened in 1991 was what we call as an ethnic cleansing or genocide that was committed by then the Nasser faction troops against the innocent civilians in November 1991 by the Nasser faction against the innocent civilians of Denkabor. So when Kiir says that we will not allow the 1991 to occur again, it's actually an indication that we will not allow the killing of the Dinkas to happen. And this triggered the ethnic targeting of the Nuers inside Juba. Also with the same magnitude, SPLM-IO, they were not innocent. They carried also massacre of Dinka in Bor, in Unity State, those of Pariang. They also carried an ethnic cleansing and targeting of the Shuluks in Malakal. So we're saying that the war, although it started as the political differences between the SPLM themselves, but it degenerated into an ethnic war. So therefore, it is simply correct to describe it as a polito-ethno war, which means it has the political and the ethnic dimension. That was the SOMA position. The government said no. The government said that there was no an ethnic dimension of the war. It was just purely political. And we said, if we were here in Rome and we are trying to resolve the social, economic, and political ills in our country, we must correctly diagnose. We must correctly diagnose the problem that took place in our country. And the problem that took place in our country is political and ethnic oriented. And hence, we need to accept that. This was the point of divergence, of course. The government did not accept this. The other issues, of course, there are a lot of issues, but let me just try to summarize it. Importantly, we affirmed the establishment of a democratic federal system, anchored on division of powers and wealth at the different governing levels, rule of law and fundamental freedoms, separation of three branches of government to ensure check and balance. Now, this is very important because the demand for federalism has been a just demand by the people of South Sudan since we were part of the Sudan. You remember in 50s, the Liberal Party, there was the first party to put forth after their convention of what became Juba Conference of 1954. That was held by the Liberal Party. They put forth the demand for a federal system for South Sudan at that time. It was rejected, although the Northern Sudanese pay a lip service saying that, you help us to vote for independent Sudan, and the federalism that you want, we will give it to you. And when Southern MPs voted for independent Sudan at that time, and they started asking for federalism, those who were ruling at that time, they allowed General Abud to make a coup, basically handing power to Abud. Abud took over and said, no, there's no federalism for South Sudanese. Federation is separation. There's no federation for one nation. Federation is separation, hence killing the concept of federalism. And the Northerners, Abud decreed that any Southern Sudanese that is going to be talking about federalism, that should be, he or she will be considered that they have betrayed the country, and they could be charged, under the law for treason. So therefore killing the hope. But the people of South Sudan continue demanding federalism. Now, why do we think that federalism is important for our new nascent republic of South Sudan? we think that we need to take the power and wealth to the lowest level of the government. You know, basically we have to empower the states so that they could be able to utilize their own resources for the benefit of the state and the people to provide services. That's why we say that the center, which is Juba, should only have the coordinating role between the various states. Hence, Juba should not be dictating to the people what to do. Now, if you look at the form of the system that we have in our country, is what we call the decentralized or even a centralized form of governance. President Kiir sits in Juba, but he can dismiss governors. He dismissed, for example, the governor of Lakes, Engineer Tong. Before he dismissed also the elected governor of Western Equatoria, Bokosoro. He also dismissed also the governor of Unity State. So you could see that president sitting in Juba has the right to dismiss governors who are who have been elected by their people. Now, this to us is a travesty and is a mockery to the democratic system that we are yearning to establish in our country. So we are saying that we want a federal system that has a clear division of powers between the center and the states, which means we want to empower the states and give the power to the people. When they elect their governors, nobody should dismiss them. They can only be dismissed through impeachment and following, the legal rules that have been laid by their various constitutions within the states. Also, in terms of the power of the wealth sharing, we think that our country is blessed. South Sudan is blessed, and the 10 states that we have, there's no single state that is poor. What we don't have is actually putting in place institutions that will empower and help the people of the states to generate wealth. So we are saying that each and every state should retain, almost 70% of its wealth within that state, so that they could provide the needed services, social services to the people, in terms of building hospitals, in terms of building schools for their children, in terms of building roads and infrastructure that is required for the social development that are needed in the states. And Juba I don't need a state in what the state, or Upper Nile, or let's say Lakes State, where 70% of the wealth generated in Lakes States should be taken to Juba. To do what in Juba? So we think even this issue of a state of central government in Juba taking 80% of the wealth, this is what actually creating corruption. This is what is creating the looting of our resources. This is what is actually making everybody to be a politician in South Sudan. And this also does create what we call the reverse migration. People are migrating from the free-freeze to Juba, because Juba, this is where everything is. This is where the opportunities for jobs are, good schools, hospitals, even there's nothing that's good schools, but at least something resembling that. So you will have people migrating, leaving their villages, coming to Juba becoming crowded like Khartoum. So what do? You will have a marginalization of the free-freeze. Once the free-freeze are marginalized, you will have war, because you will feel their resources have been stolen from them, and therefore they need to resist and to assert themselves politically and economically. So we are saying we need to learn from this. To avoid this, let us keep the wealth in the states. This is what the Torjon call taking the town to the villages, So what does it mean? It means empowering the states, empowering our counties, so that they have their schools, they have their hospitals. So if they have all the social services, there will be no need for them to migrate to Juba and for them to start living in the free-freeze of Juba, where you could have shanty towns, where you could have ghettos. We don't want to create that. So we're saying that federalism is very important in our country. It will help us to quickly have the social economic development that we are yearning for. So we have agreed on that as parties. We have agreed on that. We also agreed that there's a need to build an efficient and managed economy which permits wealth creation, promotes equity within and between generation base. So we are saying also, if you look at our economy today, it is very sad. Who's running our economy? The South Sudan economy is run mostly by foreigners. If you look at the hotels, it's run by foreigners. If you look at the commodity market, in South Sudan is run by foreigners. If you look even at the banking system in our country, Equity, Kenyan Commercial Bank, is all foreigners. So we are saying that time has come for us to actually have what we call, some of us do call in our party as economic nationalism for South Sudan, which means empowering South Sudanese so that they are able, to control the economy, because economy is a very important pillar. If you don't control your economy and you leave foreigners to control your economy, then you're actually in a bad shape. You're in a bad shape, because if these foreigners decide to leave, then the economy will collapse, and that is very dangerous for the national security, for the national security of our country. So we are saying that with the resources that the people of South Sudan have and the resources the country have, we need to empower our private sector. The government need to inject money into the private sector so that you could actually start supporting small businesses and give them loans. Okay, you could also start, supporting the farmers so that they could produce and ensure and make sure that the produce that are produced by your farmers, the government can buy them, and market it. So what do? You only give these farmers, the necessary tools, including the tractors and so forth, the mechanization of the agriculture. Their job is only to cultivate. Once they cultivate, the government should be able to buy from the farmers and market the goods from the products from the farmers. That way, our farmers are able to concentrate on farming, and they are able to establish a good, food security for our country. And you're enriching South Sudanese. So we'll encourage many South Sudanese to go to farming. Now also, the government need to give loans to South Sudanese entrepreneurs who want to, for example, go to the industry and factory buildings. You could start with what we call light manufacturing or light industry, where people in Western Equatoria could make a fruit factory. People in lakes, they could be assisted because they have a lot of cows there. You could have slaughterhouses, and you could have also, skin and hide factories there, leather in lakes, so that they're able to sell it. They're able also to create employment for the youth, So rather than our youth having cattle wrestling, they will be able to economically benefit, and they'll be able to be part of the economic chain in our country. That way, we create an economic base for our people. We create an economical system that are owned by the people of South Sudan. That way we empower our people. This is what we want. We need to empower. We need to divide wealth among our people. South Sudan is not poor. We have the resources to enrich our people. We have the resources, to empower our people. What is lacking is a political vision and competence to do that. So we have agreed that there's a need to have that kind of economical system for our country. We also agreed on the expedition for the hybrid court to be formed. Many of you know very well that after the 2013 crisis, there have been a lot of human rights violations and atrocities that have been committed in our country. And many families are still yearning for justice because nobody up to now, or people being held, accountable for the crimes against humanity that have been created in our country by both parties that have been fighting in our country. So we are saying, in order for South Sudan to move ahead, and in order for us to forge the unity that is required to build our country, justice must prevail. And we in SSOMA believe that justice delayed is justice denied. So we are saying that the hybrid court that has already or in the process of being established should be expedited. We know that the United States of America has already contributed $3 million US for the establishment of the hybrid court. So we need people to be held accountable, those who have committed atrocities. So we have agreed that there's a need to expedite this hybrid court so that we could put we could close the chapter of accountability, and also to give a respite to the people and the families that have lost their loved ones in this unwanted civil war that has been going on for the last 7 years, that has killed more than 500,000 South Sudanese. But of course, we disagreed on a couple of important issues. As I said earlier, our first disagreement was the characterization of the conflict in the country, where I said that we in SOMA, we do believe that the war in the country is political and ethnic in nature, but the government think otherwise. Another point of contention to us is the issue of the permanent constitution-making process. Because now South Sudan, we don't have a permanent constitution. What we have, it is an interim constitution since 2011. And hence, our country, in order for us to move ahead as a country that is united, in order for us to have a democratic dispensation that we are hoping for, we must embark in the drafting of a constitution. Now, we in SOMA, we believe that a constitution is a social contract. It is a social contract between the people and the government. Hence, it has to be a people-oriented constitution. It has to be people-driven constitution, and it must be also a people-owned constitution. This is the philosophy of SOMA, that the constitution-making process should involve the people of South Sudan first and last. So we propose that there should be 4 processes in the constitution-making process. One, we said that the first thing that we need to do is to carry out a wider consultation. We need to carry out a wider consultation with all the stakeholders in the country, including the political parties, chiefs, faith-based organizations, civil society, women groups and youth, people with special needs. So we need to start first with having a popular consultation among the people of South Sudan, where they will have to air their views as to what do they want in the constitution, what do they want to be written in the constitution. So first process is the consultation. Now, after this consultation is done, we will move to appoint a preparatory committee for the convening of a national constitutional conference. Now, this preparatory committee will ensure those who have been invited, that the stakeholders have been invited, the chiefs have been invited, the political parties have been invited, the people with the special needs, women and youth. And also this preparatory committee will also summarize the results and the resolutions of the consultations that have taken place, so that they could be taken forth for the drafting, the technical drafting of the constitution. So that is level 2. Level 3 or level C is the establishment of the National Constitution Commission. We need to establish a commission to draft legally the document that we are proposing, and hence. Before that, we have Before that, we have the Constitutional Conference. The Constitutional Conference also will involve all the political parties, and this is where people also will agree on the roadmap for the drafting. Then you will have the drafting committee through the National Constitution Commission. Their work will be to draft the permanent constitution of the country. And we said once this drafting of the constitution has been completed, then the adoption of the constitution should be put into a referendum. The people of South Sudan should have the first say and the last say on the constitution. So we say that this constitution should be put into a referendum for people to decide. Because after all, when we write the constitution, we will say in the preamble of our constitution that we, the people of South Sudan. Now, if we are saying we, the people of South Sudan, then it is the people of South Sudan that must decide. This constitution reflects our aspiration. This constitution is what we want. It contains the issues that we want our country to look like. So it should be the people deciding. Now, the government of Juba agreed with us with the first process, second, and third. Now, when it comes to the issue of referendum, Juba is saying that no, the people of South Sudan should not be the one deciding on this constitution through a referendum. So we asked them, who is more sovereign? Is it the people They said, yes, the people are sovereign, but they should not have the right to decide on the last say, or they should not have the last say on the constitution. So they say the people that should decide the permanent constitution for South Sudan should be what they call the Constituent Assembly. That means the assembly that they have now will be dissolved, then you constitute a new Constituent Assembly with the objective only of adopting the constitution. So we told them, Ajama, this parliamentarian you're talking about, they have never been elected. There have never been elections in South Sudan since we became independent. These representatives now you have in the parliament are people like Ajawin, people like Marif Munu, who came through Ohio, people like Sawa, and so forth. These are political nominees. And hence, they don't have the legitimacy from the people. Nobody voted for them, you know? So, if nobody has voted for these dudes, why will they be deciding the fate of the country? Remember, we are not drafting an interim constitution. We are drafting a permanent constitution. So why should these individuals be deciding it? We said no. This is very undemocratic. Elites should not be thinking that they know better for what is better for South Sudanese. People of South Sudan should be the last to decide. The government said no, we cannot agree on this. When we talked, they said no, we are not mandated. We have no mandate. You know, so we need to go back to Ben to give us a mandate. So we said, well, let it be. You go back to Ben and tell Ben that SSOMA is saying no, people, the sovereignty of the people is not invested in this parliament and Mojud for Juba or Motor. No, the sovereignty of the people of South Sudan is invested in the people of South Sudan. And we are saying this is a point that we are not going to compromise on, because we believe this is the correct way of adopting a permanent constitution. The other issue that we disagreed on is actually point number 8, the matters of the borders. You know, my dear brothers and sisters, our country now, as we speak, there's a lot of problems regarding the internal borders. So we say that the matters of borders and boundaries of South Sudan should stand as they stood in 1956. Because this is also supported by Article 1.2a of the current interim constitution, where it defines the territory of Republic of South Sudan to be comprising of all the lands and airspace that constitute the 3 former southern provinces of Bahr el Ghazal, Equatoria, and Upper Nile, as they stood on 1956. Hukuma Gatla, no, 1956 is not the only reference. There's also other references that need to be included. We say like what? Walaya Galulena Tarif says some tribes, they know where their borders are because their grandfather told them that tree there is the border, you know, or that the stone there is the border. So we told them, but is this logical? If we start saying that we listen to the stories that we were told about our grandfather, even me, I can claim Rumbek, and I can even claim Atwood, you know, Yurul, because Yurul is the corridor of the Luos. The Luo, we believe that we came from Atwood, you know, which is 50 miles south of Rumbek. This is the homeland of the whole Luos before they went to Kenya, before they went to Uganda. So if we start claiming, you know, I will displace you guys from legs. You know, you will have to go. Man, I don't know where you will go to, you know. I don't know where you guys came from, you know. You will have to leave Bahr el Ghazal. And also, some of us will also claim Awil, and Awil will say is well or is the Luo name. Also, we'll try to claim in Wow, because you have 2 Wow. You have Wow Shuluk and you have Wow Bahr el Ghazal. It's the Luo homeland, you know. We'll also claim other areas in Bantu, you know, like Witpach, which is south of Bantu, is a Luo home of origin where the Luo migrated. So if we start going back to our grandfathers that they say this land belonged to us, I don't know where some of us will end up, you know, because it's not only 56, some of us will go almost 600 years ago. Will that bring any peace in our country? To us, we felt this was just an issue to obstruct the objective of 1956 borders. And this also shows that some of our colleagues in the government, they have other motives of trying to claim other people's lands, and this is not acceptable. This will not bring peace and harmony in our country, but will actually compound the crisis in our country and may even generate future wars in our country. So this was also an issue of divergence between us and the government. But we agreed when it comes to the establishment of a new national army and the new security sector, we agreed on this. We say there's a need to have a new security, a new national army, a new national security that is diverse in character and in composition, that is very reflective of the people of South Sudan with their all diversity. So this is a good point. We've agreed there's a need to have a new army, because if we have a truly an army that is diverse and that reflects the makeup of South Sudan, then we will have no problem in terms of having a democratic transformation that we want. Because once you have an army that is well balanced, everybody sees themselves in, and we tell them that their work is to stay out of politics and to defend South Sudan territory from external enemies, then we would have achieved a step towards democratization of our country, where we could actually, have elections, have political parties, and whoever wins the election, there's no worries that a political coup will happen. A sort of military coup could happen against them. This is what we want. So there's a need to make an equal leveling ground for both of us, that we have the national army and the national security that will have all the people of South Sudan, the diversity of South Sudan, to make sure that what happens in 2013 will never happen again, where people, Junubin, will kill themselves because an army is dominated by tribe A or tribe B. So these are the issues, my dear brothers and sisters. I was trying to hurry them up so that we could move on to other questions. This is what happened. We've agreed on almost 9 points, and we have almost 3 points of divergence. But we say that we will defer them to next year, hopefully by January. There will be consultations in between, so that we could also narrow the gaps and the differences.
Can you read them out again, the 9 points that you guys agree on, and the other 2 or 3 points?
I told them, I actually mentioned them in detail earlier. I mentioned them. So, I don't want to read them again because we will be boring the audience.
Okay. So why you guys disagree on those two?
The first,
on those 2 points.
The first point we disagreed on, Madid, was the issue of the characterization of the conflict in our country. We said, we in SSOMA, we said the crisis in the country is political, but it also is ethnical. It degenerated to an ethnical dimension, where there have been a targeting of ethnicities, and that's the true reflection of the reality and the crisis in our country. The government is saying no. There's no ethnization in South Sudan. What is this? Only political differences. So we said, but how do you justify the killing of the Nuers in Juba? How do you justify the killing of Dinkas in Bor? How do you justify the killing of the Shuluks? How do you justify the killing of people in Western Bargazal? How do you justify the people of killing of some ethnic groups in Equatoria? There's an ethnic dimension of the conflict in our country, and to say that there's no an ethnic dimension of the conflict is actually, is denial, of the realities of what's happening in our country. So that was another point of that's the first point of disagreement between us.
That point is very critical, and that we need to shed a light on it, because that is important. The reason why I'm saying this is because when the war broke out in 2013, and we know all South Sudanese know very well that what is the root cause of their conflicts. And that's why I see that you guys are disagreeing with the government on this point, that government said that it's not ethnic, it's political, which is like the SPLM is a power within SPLM. They agree with each other. And we know very well when they do their conference on December.
On the 6th of December, yes.
6th of 2017, we see that. So that's a power struggling within the party. And then they fall out, and then the war break out. And then they divide themselves, and then they fight with each other. And I see the point on the government side, the reason why they disagree on you guys is that the government is not a one specific tribe is control the government. How we can see all 64 tribes, or at least even though they are not 64 tribes, but most of the tribes in South Sudan are representing the government. And that is what I see the government argument is. I see that the point that they are making here, that they don't want, that the conflict is not ethnic, it's a political differences. So what do you think about that? I think then that is the point that I see in here, because, and that's what we all South Sudanese know, that yes, even though the fighting, when the fight happened, yes, the IO have the military at the time, 99% of IO are non-military. And we know that when the government, South Sudan government in 2013, the military of South Sudan is 75% or 80%, if I'm mistaken, are Nuera in the army. And when the Dr. Machar have disagreement with the government, and then he moved out, all the Nuer military, they went with Yak. So, and I see that's the point that you guys said, okay, that is after it's war, and then the people are killed during that. But the political, the main...
Yeah, but Madid, we're saying it's both.
Yes.
We're saying it's both. We are saying it's both. We're saying it's political and it's ethnic. Okay? And let me give you an example that I gave earlier. Yes, on the 6th of December, the conference that was held by those of Ritoriak, Madame Rebecca Nyandeng, Deng Alor, Pagana Mum, Alfred Lado Gore, was the array of South Sudanese tribes, yes, from 3 regions. But why, if that was a political differences, then why did the killing on the 15th of December in Juba was only Nuer being targeted? Nuer civilians, okay, hunted down and killed in Magaten, in Mio Saba, and Mahaladel for Juba. Why was the Nuer massacre? Because if it was purely political, and you were saying rightly that the government was just trying to quell this rebellion or coup, then they should have killed all the people of South Sudan, other tribes of South Sudan. We didn't see Dinka being targeted at that night. We didn't see Shuluk being targeted specifically in that night. We didn't see Bare being targeted at that night. Because in that conference that was held on the 6th, Oya is Shuluk, Pagan is Shuluk, okay? Madame Rebecca is Dinka. Majanga God was there, was Dinka. They were not targeted, okay? Alfred Gore was Bare, they were not targeted, okay? That night was only Nuer targeted. So it took an ethnic dimension. Now you come to Bor, and the people who are killed by IO there, the Dinkas. Were they not killed because of their ethnicity as being Dinka? Okay? And the news was saying at that time that they are revenging, you know? They are avenging their kin and kid that were killed in Juba. And they started killing the Dinkas. Is that not ethnical? What happened? Were they not targeted because they're being Dinka? Were they targeted because they're being SPLM? No. They were targeted because they were Dinka. And they were innocent Dinka civilians. Did they have anything to do with what happened in Juba conference? They didn't even know what took place on the 6th of December. What happened to the Shuluks that were killed in Malakal, house to a house, and killed? They were killed because of they're Shuluk. Okay? So we are saying, yes, it was a political, but it has also an ethnical dimension. Why are we shy from it? Okay? We know now, for example, who are the majority of people in the POC camps. Inside Juba is Nuer. In Malakal, there's POC, is Shuluk. Okay? Who are they fearing? They're fearing their own government. Why? Because they were killed and they don't feel safe. These are civilians, they're not politicians. So you cannot come and tell me that the conflict in the country is purely political. It is truly political, yes, but also has a tribal aspect. There's an ethnical aspect of it. So this is the thing we are saying. We must correctly diagnose the root causes of the conflict. Because if we do not diagnose the disease correctly, then you'll be giving a wrong prescription. You cannot give medicine for malaria, then you give a typhoid medicine, for example. You need quinine malaria. So you have to treat malaria with this correct medicine. You as a doctor, you have to diagnose the patient correctly. What disease is the patient suffering from? But if you do not diagnose the patient correctly, then you'll be giving a wrong prescription to the patient, and the patient will die. That is why when the revitalized RCs was signed in 2018, it was not anchored on the root causes of the conflict in the country. That's why you have now the peace is stalling. There's no peace being implemented because simply there was a wrong diagnosis of the crisis. We are saying that should not be the case. Nobody should be shying away from admitting that Junubin now are killing themselves. Ethnicity, you have seen it, even in Facebook. People now are divided on tribal basis, Ajama. Okay? Can we ignore that? We cannot. So we are saying, you are right, Madid, that is political, yes, but also I'm right, that is also ethnical. So it's ethnic.
Yeah, you are right. You are right on that.
Two of them have to go together.
Yeah, and I don't deny that it's not ethnic, it's not involved. You know, as we know, South Sudan, we know what was happened. Yeah. So even though the people who are living in the village, they are not even connected with the government, with the political thing going on in Juba.
True.
They're still fighting each other. My own client, they can fight with other clients with Dinka Europe, you see, because that ethnic, and that's simply like a girl was somebody like kidnap a girl like for marriage in Dinka culture. Those other clan, they will fight each other, you see. So that is a normal to our stage here.
Yeah, but
what
that is different. That is different.
My point, what I was making here is that the root cause. The point is that the root cause happened in 2013, and what make us now what we are in now in South Sudan is a political. Is SPLM disagreement. They're fighting. They are the power sharing. That is the root cause right there.
Nobody disagreeing. Nobody disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing.
2013, that conflict out. A lot of people die. It's not even not themselves die in Juba. Dinka die. Non-Sudanese.
But Medit Konkoje.
Let me finish my point here.
When you said people have died, Jamal, let us be historical correct and let us be sensitive. Okay. Yes, those are collateral death of others that was one unwanted. You know, people crossfire because guns were being fired in Juba. But let us not ignore and let us not deny that the Nuers were targeted as people. Okay. Actually in a couple of days we'll be marking that awful part of our history, the killing of innocent children, women of the Nuers and elders in Juba. They were murdered in cold blood. They had nothing to do with politics. They were targeted door to door because they are Nuers. Yes, there was some Agar also that were killed because Motianganyor and Dutkebeny, most of them come from Walwal. Okay? And they cannot differentiate. They don't even know that the Agar also Indom Gor Farasum. You know? So they thought some of the Agars are Nuers. And some of them were killed. That's true. And some of the Shuluk were killed too, and others, even the Equatorians were killed. But these were actually what I call the collateral, you know. They were not targeted as part of the ethnicity. But the people who were being targeted at that time, the Nuer were killed. And we have to admit as a people, if we want to move ahead, that genocide took place. Okay? Nuers were killed in Juba. The same thing with the Dinka and Bor. You cannot tell me it was coincident. The Dinkas were killed in hospital in Bor. Okay? Was that also by accident? That the Dinka were killed in Bor, in hospitals? No, it wasn't. What about even the Dinka that were killed in Bantu? Okay? Targeted and killed. Was that by accident? It was actually ethnical oriented. What about the Shuluk that were killed in Malakal? Okay? And so forth. So we are saying people were killed. Now, when you talk about cattle wrestling has been there since time immemorial. Okay? People were killing themselves in Toy for a very long time. Okay? That's not the crisis we are talking about. We are talking about the large magnitude of the crisis and the conflict that has led to the thousands of people being killed. Cattle wrestling that has been happening since our ancient time has not killed 500,000 within 7 years. But we are saying within 7 years, 500,000 South Sudanese have died. That cannot be by accident. Okay? It is because it also took a tribal nature. That's why we're saying one of the root causes of the conflict, yes, it is the political differences, but also it degenerated to an ethnic ethnic conflict. Today, as we talk, the country is divided into tribal bases, into tribal enclave. Yes, before the 2013, the majority of the army, 60% or 71 were. But as we talk today, 90% of the army in South Sudan, SSPDF, are Dinka. That is the reality in the country, you know. So we are saying, let us admit that the war that started as political, it degenerated into a tribal, into an ethnic war. So how do we resolve it? We have also to address the ethnical part of it, okay? And try to do a reconciliation between our people. Because when you say it's only political, what are you doing? You are telling me, Emmanuel, you, the politicians, just sort your political differences and power, whatever you may call it, power struggle or fighting over the vision and ideology. What have you done? You would have resolved only the political differences between the elites. But what about the ethnical scars that are there now? Okay? You will not have resolved them because you do not recognize it as a problem. But will it mean that this problem would go? Of course not, they wouldn't go anywhere. So we are saying, yes, we address the political differences in our country, and also let's also address the ethnical aspect of it. Because now we need to heal our tribes. Okay? The Dinkas need to sit with the Nuers. The Nuers have to sit with the Shuluks. The Shuluk have to sit with other tribes. The Equatorial need to sit with the Dinka. There's also land grabbing. The Western Barghazal, the Fratit, they also need to sit down and discuss. So that way, holistically, we'll resolve the country conflict. But if you just say it's political and you just ignore the ethnical aspect of it, UNU will continue burning. Because in South Sudan, the blood of ethnicity in South Sudan ran deeper than Southern nationalism. South Sudan is not yet a nation. We're in the process of building that nationalism. So if you have killed my people, in the Shuluk, for example, you have something called a ter. In Denka, you have a ter. Okay? If you kill my relative, I will have to avenge for their death. No? Now, if my relatives have been killed, and you're telling me that I don't care about them, let's just talk about politics, you will have not resolved my problem. I will still have their ter with me. Okay? So we're saying rather than having this in our culture, we will bring a bull and kill it. We call it a chwil. You know? And Dinkas also, you call it chwil. Okay? You will bring the bulls and the two families will sit and the bull is slaughtered, much, so that nobody fight anymore. This is what we need. South Sudan needs chwil. Okay? You cannot tell me it's only political. We also need to slaughter that cow. I don't know who will be that cow to be slaughtered. You know? But we need that to close that chapter so that we could reconcile together. So you cannot say it is only political. It is political, yes, but also you have to admit, Madid, it is also ethnical. So once we admit that these are two root causes of the conflict, as the correct diagnosis, then we'll be able to resolve it amicably. And once and for all, there will be no conflict in our country.
Thank you. I think I took time. I will give a chance to my other colleague, Isaac and Olmakur. Before I give a chance to Isaac to follow up question, I have like a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about federalism. You mentioned about that you guys agree on federalism because South Sudan need to be federal system need to be put in South Sudan so that each state can govern themselves. Like when we were in 32 state, okay, so we were the federal system is there, okay. Each state will govern themselves. The only thing that is not there is because the people are not given the right to elect their own governor or their own local leaders. You see, so as you, my question to you, Emmanuel, are you agree that okay, you need a federal system in South Sudan? So are you okay to go back, South Sudan, go back to 32 state?
This is a very good question, Mehdi. But the question we need to ask is why 32 state? 32 state was based on Bantuism. Okay? 32 state was based on tribal enclaves. Okay? It is based on tribal enclaves, where each and every tribe is given a state. We in SOMA, we don't want ethnic federalism.
Okay.
We won what we call, that's why we call it free democratic, that's why we call it democratic federal South Sudan.
Yeah,
we won
the members of SSOMA, they are supported federalism.
We want a federal state that is not based on ethnicity. We
Mm.
want a federal state where it encompasses everybody, you know. And we believe 10 state is a good model because, for example, in Upper Nile as a state, you will have amalgamation of other tribes. You have in unity also other tribes. This is the state we want. 32 state was not built on a legal foundation. Okay, it was just based on an emotional appeal from 28 state by Kir waking up on the wrong side of the bed. You know, the Jin Council of Elders gave him 24 state, and then he added 4. You know, and then 32 state came. There was no any legal basis for it. There was no any economical viability because even in Gog state, for example, the governor was sitting under the tree. When the Tarabeza Kida, Galdo Hukumta Walaya. Tamshi Lewarab, they have turned the madrasa Yao Malata Okuma.
The law said take town to the people, to the village. Oh, that's a good point then.
So you had first of all, there was no legal basis for the 32 states. There was no economic viability of that 32 state. 32 state was based on an ethnic federalism. That is not healthy for South Sudan. So that cannot be an example. We don't want that. But what do we want in SSOMA? We want that if you have UN Lakes state, I, Emmanuel, coming from Upper Nile state, I can come to Lake and reside in Lake according to the constitution of Lakes. And you know that most of you in US, I moved to Lakes, and I'm sure within 2 to 3 years, if the constitution of Lakes provides, I become a fully pledged citizen, having all the rights to vote in Lakes, okay, to contribute economically in Lakes, okay, and abide by the laws of the Lakes state. Now, if you're in New Jersey, I keep on giving this example, and you are in New York, they're 2 states close to one another. If you move to New York and you stay in New York, and you abide by the laws and electoral laws in New York, you have the right to vote. You have the right to engage in any commerce that you want as a citizen of the United States, and also as a citizen of that state. This is federalism we want, Medid. Okay, this is the federalism we want, where each and every South Sudanese can move to any state that they like, and according to the laws of that state, as long as they abide by the laws of those states, they will have the right to have the political freedom, and also to enjoy the political privileges that they want, and also to take an active part in politics in that state, and also to be able to economically also engage freely. That is federalism we want. Okay. We also want federalism where the power is divided equally, protected by the constitution. People will not be touched, the governors, if they're elected. The county's commissioners are elected, and they have their own constitution. They have their own parliament. Okay. They run their own affairs. There will be no need to come to Juba for jobs because there will be jobs there. Okay. Come to power, to come to wealth. Whatever is being produced there, let 60% of it being kept to be kept in that state for the benefit of these people. And the other percentage can you do center. And we say if there are some states that are lacking behind, we'll create what we call the equilibrium fund. And I've been saying this many times in my lectures and on Facebook. So each and every state, let's say 10 states, the government will create a trust fund where each and every state will contribute to this trust fund. Other states that are lacking behind in terms of not having enough money to build hospitals, to build roads, to build schools, the government can lend the monies to do that so that nobody's left behind. Okay? This is what we call true federal system based on true nationalism. Okay? Not ethnic federalism. Bita Kir Mayadi, bita 32 state, bita 28 state. Okay? That are void of any economical viability. This is not what we want. We need to cement the 10 states. We need to cement the nationalism within South Sudan. Because if we don't do this, what is the alternative? South Sudan will break to Dinkistan. I will say this. It will break to Nueristan. It will break to Baristan. It will break to Chulukistan. It will break into states. Because, by the way, Junub should not feel comfortable because that Wallah Shanin and Fasalem in Shamal, Junub cannot only separate. Junub also can break up. Junub can break up. Where's former Yugoslavia now? It broke up almost to 6 countries. Where's the former Soviet Union? It's broke up into countries. Even Sudan has broken up. So there'll be no exception in South Sudan.
Because South Sudan though, it's a very small country. I don't see the point.
South Sudan is so small, my brother. So small. South Sudan is bigger than Nigeria twice. Okay? South Sudan is 3 times bigger than Kenya. Okay? And Uganda. South Sudan is not a small country. Okay? But nationalism in South Sudan, tribalism is strong. So if you're not able to accommodate everybody, and people feel that they're being oppressed by the central government, they'll break up. You know, Ethiopia now is in crisis because of ethnic federalism. Okay, Tigray now, who are ruling Ethiopia for 30 years, and were oppressing majority of the Ethiopians, where are they today? Okay, they are facing the full force of the whole Ethiopia. So we are saying, let's learn from history, let's learn from our neighbors, that ethnic federalism will not help us. It will not cement the identity of Southern nationalism. What will cement the identity of Southern nationalism? It is a federalism that will be based on laws, division of powers and division of wealth, where each and every citizen in South Sudan can move to any state they wish or they choose to live in, as long as they abide by the law of that state. That's the federalism we want.
But there are the voices. There are some of the voices in SSOMA members. They want ethnic federalism. I'm talking about Equatorian. Equatorian, they are campaigning. They want self-determination. They want Equatorian to be ruled by the government themselves. That ethnic federalism is there. So now again, the ethnic federalism. So what?
No. Let me correct that. There's actually misinformation made it. Okay. You know, when we speak as intellectuals, we must back our argument with documents. I can challenge you. If you're referring to Equatorians, who are these Equatorians you have in SSOMA? There is not a single party in SSOMA that is representative of Equatoria. Now, if you're talking about NAS is not an Equatorian movement. NAS is a national movement. NAS have actually printed what they call a blueprint of the ideas of federalism. There's no ethnic federalism in it. They have never been demand for the right of self-determination for Equatoria. So where are these ideas coming from? Yes, if there are some individual in Equatoria who are demanding for separation of Equatoria, these are the individuals, but not NAS as a partner with us in SSOMA. There are also people in Upper Nile, by the way, demanding for Upper Nile to be an independent state, but we don't have them in SSOMA. So it is not true that in SSOMA we have somebody demanding ethnic federalism. No, we don't. And I can challenge you on this to bring me a document. We in SSOMA, we have one voice, and you have our charter. Our charter talk about Democratic Federal Republic of South Sudan. There's nowhere in our charter that we have signed, all of us, the 4 organizations, that talks about right of self-determination to one of the regions or talk about the ethnic federalism. There isn't. These are just propaganda by people who are trying to defame SSOMA. We don't have that. There's no single document regarding that.
Okay, thank you. This time, thank you, guys. Thank Bol Makul and Isaac for being patient. I took a lot of time, so I will give the floor back to you, guys. Thank you.
All right, then no worries. Thank you so much, Abraham, and thank you again, Emmanuel Ajawin. We will have just a 1-minute break before we start for another questions that we will drop in.
I am good. So if you want to take break, it's okay. I'm good.
Okay, then we go ahead. All right. I'll come back to SSOMA. SSOMA is a formation of 4 movement parties, let's say. And in the first beginning, when you attend the peace talk in Rome, all of you were there. In the second meeting, 2 parties they were left out. That is the Real SPLM of Pagana Mom and sub of Gerald Malone. And that thing has happened again in this third talk. My questions are 2 here. Any attempts of trying to reconcile or to negotiate and solve your differences? If yes or no, what made it difficult for you to come together again?
Thank you, Isaac, for bringing this question up. When you talk about reconciliation, you are implying that there's a fight, or there is kind of dichotomy. People went their own ways. That is not a correct description of what took place in SOMA. What took place in SOMA, it is an administrative issue. Okay. SSUF, and I said this before in your forum here in Lex State Media.
Yeah.
That what happened is that Mulong was suspended because of reasons that I gave before. And we instituted an investigation committee to investigate him. We are still waiting for him to cooperate. So he is suspended, he's being still investigated. That is an administrative issue. So there's nothing there to reconcile. What is there is for the due process to take place. And the due process is the investigation of Mulong and to answer to the questions that we have raised to him and the issues that they have done in terms of breaching the trust and behaving contrary to the term of reference of SOMA. As to the real SPLM with their chairman, Comrade Pagan, they refused to sign the charter of SOMA. So therefore, he's not part of SOMA. So basically he's out of SOMA. Brother, SOMA, when you talk about the first meeting that we went together as a team, SOMA, initially we had what they call the Declaration of Principle. But legally speaking, Declaration of Principles does not establish an alliance. Declaration of Principles is the meeting of the ideas. People getting together and saying, you know what, we must work together, okay, with the objective of forming an alliance. Alliance are only established by a charter, which is the political program and objectives of the alliance. Now, once that is done, and we sign that charter, now the alliance is legally now born, is legally now established, okay. What we had was actually a Declaration of Principles that guided us, those of real SPLM through Pagan and the SSUF through Mulong. When it came to charter, which is the legal entity that will govern our relationship, Pagan refused to sign it. Therefore, he's not part of the SOMA that was created. Mulong, on the other hand, is suspended. Until his investigation finished, then you'll have the choice, either to join SOMA or to opt out. So as we stand now, it's only Mulong we are concerned with, not the real SPLM, because they're not part of SOMA, the real SPLM. And Mulong is under investigation. Until he cooperates with the investigation committee, he will continue to remain suspended. So this is what I could answer to you. So there's nothing to reconcile about. There was no fighting. These are just administrative issues that we took. It's just a storm in a teacup. So let us not make it a big storm in the ocean. This is the Hajj of Kubar, the Fedan there, we call it storming just in a teacup. It doesn't bother that much. And you saw now that the first, the third and the fourth meetings of SOMA, the SOMA delegation was there negotiating with the government.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Bol, if you have a question as well, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Thank you, Isaac, for a very good follow-up question. I like that question because it was also in my selection. But I'm very happy that you bring it up. And I will ask one question and also give you back another question so we can share it because the time is over.
Yeah.
Ambassador, thank you for answering many questions from Madid. I'm asking one year, which says, in the past 5 days meeting, the parties made a significant progress during the Impaglazo said, adding that they agreed to negotiate on the federal nature of the government the issue of power, the national identity, particularly the respect for cultural and ethnic differences, a mechanism for the economic, the reform of the civil sectors, and the right of indigenous communities, including the land ownership. My question is, what reform do you want to happen to civil sectors and the land ownership?
Yeah, thank you, Brother Bol, and it's nice seeing you. It has been a long time.
Thank you. Nice to see you
and your questions are really pertinent. When it comes to the reform of the civil sector or the civil service, this is very critical to us. In our country now, our civil service is completely on the verge of collapse because of the incompetence. Our country, the jobs criteria or the qualification for you to be employed as a civil servant is for you to know somebody, Zol Kabir, for Zol Kabir Yamuleg Wasta, then you get the job. It's not because of your merits. And this, of course, create incompetence in terms of the delivery that is required from an individual civil servant. I will give you an example of the ministry that I worked for, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it was composed from, I think, some of us who used to work in the Foreign Ministry of the Sudan and some of our colleagues in the regional cooperation. They are the guys who formed the nuclear for the new Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. But after that, you start seeing people being appointed by the presidency. You just lobby, you go to the presidency, then you are appointed ambassador, you are appointed a first secretary, a second secretary. There's no entry examination that is being carried out for these individuals, you know, to be accepted in the foreign service. So what happens? What happened is that you start having you have a foreign service that have quantity, but it doesn't have quality, and hence there's a need to revisit this. Also, there's an overrepresentation of some regions in different sector, civil service, that is proportionate to others, you know, and these are also need to be taken into consideration. So we are saying, in order for our country to start having really a strong civil service, we must really reform this, you know, to start having examinations, entry examinations. And those already that are there, they need to be vetted, even for their own certificates. By the way, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at the time, when we wanted to look at the certificates of those who have been employed, you will find a file without any academic qualification. You know, some of them will come from America and enter and said, well, I have associate degree. And many South Sudanese there, the ministry don't even know that associate degree is a diploma. You know, they will also be entered there as a full diplomat. The minimum requirement for a diplomat is actually a degree, you know, from the school, from university. So when you have associate degree and then as employing people, you know, as a diplomat, that's also against the rules and regulations. And you have others that don't have certificate whatsoever. You know, they're there, you know, working as diplomats, and also that is true in other other sectors of the government. Madam Awood, when she was the Minister of Labor, she wanted to introduce this issue of checking certificates. She was challenged by Marhum John Luke and Michael Mokwei, you know, and she was told, you're talking about people to show their certificate. Do you have a certificate to show for, you know? And those who felt that they will be targeted by Madam Awood, they started lobbying against her, and she was removed, you know, because many people were appointed as ambassadors without even any qualifications. Many were appointed as senior counselors and minister plenipotentiary in the foreign service in very high grades without any even high school certificate. So these are issues that are actually, you know, impeding the service delivery to our people. So what you need to do, you need to start again from a zero and reform this service so that you could have regional representation in the civil service, and also you have the competent civil servant based on the exams and serious interview, so that you could have really high quality of civil servants who can actually deliver to the people. Now, coming to the land reforms, of course, these are very important up to now. Land is either registered or unregistered land, but you also need to agree for the demarcation of the land between various communities. And we said our term of reference is the 1st 1956. This is what the Khawajat left Sudan at that time. They had a very elaborate maps on the district and their borders. So this is what we need to have first. And then after that, you need also to come up with the land policy. And then you have to also enact land laws. These all require, seriousness from both parties. And we felt this need to be addressed because the issue of land now is critical. If you go to Equatoria, for example, there's a lot of land grabbing in Equatoria. Yes, Juba is the capital of South Sudan, but also you don't forget that Juba belongs to Bari, because land in South Sudan is also tribal. There are some lands, yes, that are joined. There are some lands that are owned by the government, like the whatever, but most of the majority of the land in South Sudan are tribal. So if you start going to Juba and you have people from other regions, taking lands and allocating, even chiefs from Upper Nile and chief from Barghazal allocating land in Juba Zato, the land Tabare, this is unthinkable. You cannot see someone from Equatoria coming to Barghazal and start allocating land in Yurul, for example, or in Awil, Abiji. So what we are saying, we have to look at these issues. Yes.
Thank you, Ambassador. Previously, you and Mehdi talked about sharing of powers, and it was one of my questions, but I will discard that. But I'm asking you to tell me about nationality identity that you have discussed in the progress of peace negotiating in Rome.
Yeah, what we are saying is this, as I said earlier, that South Sudan, we are a state. We are not yet a nation. What do I mean by this statement? A nation is actually made from different nationalities or different tribes that have start feeling that they have one destiny. They have one interest. They are brothers and sisters. Hence, they call themselves in this geographical space called South Sudan. What we have now is that the social fabric and the building blocks that builds up nationalism in South Sudan is not there. What you have is that each and every tribe is saying that we, are this and we are that, and that is not helpful for the political building of. That's why we're saying that in South Sudan, we need to respect our various identities. We have to also accommodate our tribal. We need to accommodate various tribes so that you could start cementing and building Southern nationalism. Southern nationalism will be built how? People of South Sudan, the 64 tribes or plus, must see themselves in the government. They must see themselves in the various institutions. Okay, they must feel they are truly part of South Sudan without them being oppressed. That's why we said we acknowledge the political diversity, the tribal diversity, and the makeup of South Sudan. They must be respected, and also we must encourage harmony, between these various tribes and nationalities, so that we could build a homeland called South Sudan, so that we can truly say South Sudan is one people, one nation, rather than just having it as a slogan, as you have now in South Sudan TV. We want it to be truly. And how do you build this? You do it through culture. You do it through education system that you have. And I've given you an example before. That South Sudan during Numeri times and before, you had the schools like Rumbek Secondary School, where most South Sudan intellectuals graduated from. So people from across South Sudan, they went to these places, to Rumbek, and they contributed there. And they met in Rumbek, and they did not look at themselves from the tribe they came from. They look at themselves as one people. This is the nationalism we want to build. You look at Malakal Secondary School. You look at Melek also, in Bor. You look at Juba Commercial. So these are the centers where Southern nationalism was encouraged. And hence, if we continue doing this, we can build a nation where we love one another, rather than building a nation that is actually fragmenting itself. A house that is divided will never stand. That's why we say we need to assert our identity. We need to respect our identity. We need to respect our tribes. We need to coexist in harmony, without anybody imposing anything on anyone, without anybody feeling that they're first-class citizen and others are third-class citizen of a country. That's why we said the identity and the nationality of South Sudan must live in harmony. They must be recognized. They must be respected.
Thank you, Ambassador. I have appreciated your answers. I will yield the floor to my comrade Isaac. Thank you.
Thank you, Bol. My last question, there's somebody wrote it down here before and has passed, and he wrote it about 3 times, and I need to bring that one up to you. When we were talking about the atrocities that are committed, there's one part is not mentioned. The incidents that has happened along Juba Numali Road. Who will be responsible for that killing that have been happening on the road?
I don't know, Isaac, because when you look at the killing that was taking place between Juba Numali Road, it even took place even since 2015. And I know there are some of our brothers and sisters who want to point fingers at NAS. NAS was not even formed when this targeting took place. So it's very difficult to say who was doing it. But it is condemnable and it is shameful. People being targeted for their ethnicity. We do not condone that. That's not South Sudan we want. A blood of a Dinka, a blood of a Nuer, a blood of Bare is a blood that all of us should be concerned. The death of any of them is a death that everybody should grieve. So nobody will condone the killing of innocent Dinkas that were killed on that road. That is condemnable. And those who have been doing it, if they are found, they should be actually charged for the human rights atrocities and violations. The same thing with the killing that took place in Juba of innocent Nuer. The same thing of killing of Equatorians in Great Equatoria by others. The same thing with the killing of the Shuluks in their homeland. Anybody that have been killed, any blood of innocent South Sudanese shed, innocently without anything. Anybody who have committed that atrocity must be held accountable. And that is how we could build southern nationalism. So you should feel the pain in Equatoria. You should, if someone is killed in Upper Nile, Equatoria should feel the pain, and vice versa. So to answer you, I don't know who to blame for it, because I don't know who did it.
All right, thank you so much for answering that. There is somebody also asked about somebody called Wall William. He's a member in your party. What is the motive behind his suspension or dismissal?
I think the person who is talking, Wall William Wall, is the spokesperson for NDM, Patriotic Front. We have administrative issues that are there, and I don't feel that there's a need for it to be addressed publicly. These are administrative issues within the NDM.
Okay. All right. Back to you, Abraham Madid. I have we have already exhausted you so much. I think most of the questions are answered, and unless if there are some.
I'm still good. Whatever you say, I'm still good. So.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just came back from my 5-minute break.
I'm still good. I still good.
Okay.
All right. Then I will be back.
Yeah, I have a few more questions.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. My next question, as you know, that you see South Sudan government and opposition groups that signed the peace all this time, because start from the IO, come to SOMA, and SOMA have a certain many group in SOMA. And my question is this: can you describe for us why would you make it great, Mr. Emmanuel? How will you make it great than those groups that signed the peace with the government?
I don't get the question. How do you make it great in the sense that?
Yeah, the question is like, how can? Let me pause it. So the question is like that: describe why you would make it great than the groups who signed peace with the government. What is the difference?
Okay, when you say describe why you will make a great, what is great? What do you mean by great?
Great is make. What I meant about that is simple: is that you will be like
Oh, you mean how different will it be from the
You
group
be
that
with those groups, yeah.
Okay.
And it would be
Okay.
a peacemaker than those groups that will find the peace with the government and they beg away. That's what that meant.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, what different will SOMA do in terms of looking at others who have signed the agreement? First of all, the Rome Initiative is very different from the revitalized artists and how they are looking at issues. I was a participant of the peace talks in Addis Ababa during those days. The revitalized artists did not look at the root causes of the conflict. It rather look at the position, sharing of the position between the political elites. Now, when you come to SOMA and the Rome Initiative, we are looking at the root causes of the conflict. We are not driven by power. That's why you see that the government and us are having tough times, because we are talking about real issues that matters to our people. So I believe if SOMA will, in the near future, if they do arrive to an agreement, that will be an agreement that is comprehensive, both in the content and also in its approaches. That will be an agreement that will have addressed the root causes of the conflict amicably. So if that's the case, I will not have no fear of the implementation, because we will be part and parcel of the implementation. The issue of security arrangement to us is important. Without the implementation of the security arrangement, none of us will be in Juba. We will not go to Juba until security arrangement has been implemented. Those of our brothers in revitalized artists rush to Juba even before the implementation of security arrangement. That's why you have the crisis now, where the people are fighting in cantonment sites. But someone will not take part in any government, even if we reach an agreement, until the issue of security arrangement and other issues that we feel pertinent has been resolved amicably and they have been implemented. That's only then we will feel that we are making a headway, and then we'll be part of it. The other aspect of it, of course, Rome Initiative now is enjoying international support from the international community, and it was absent in the revitalized artists. Revitalized artists, most of the international community were just observers. They were not active participants. In Rome now, they're active participants. So together, as three, which means the government, SOMA, and international community, we are trying to build a peace agreement that will be involving all of us, so that will be comprehensive. So when it comes to implementation and other part, the government, the international community will be also able to help with the resources and with the technical expertise that are required for the implementation of any future agreement that the government and us may reach on. So our agreement, if we do sign it, will be completely different in terms of the international community support, and secondly, also in terms of grantees, be it organic grantees or external grantees, external grantees in terms of implementing. So we will have a timetable of issues that need to be implemented, including the security arrangement, as I've said, until we have a truly national army, national security apparatus, not only trained but deployed to the areas that we want them and to the capital. Then after that, members of SOMA will participate in the government. But before that, we are now ready to rush to Juba and dine and wine with Kir in J1. That's not our objective.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you answer that question that has been posed before or not, Isaac?
I think Gordon posed the question,
from Gordon Boy.
I didn't read it. I don't know what question he posed.
Where is it? Let me.
I brought it up here.
Yeah, Gordon has. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, he's saying in Rome is Rome negotiation not in line with ARCES? No, we are not renegotiating ARCES. We have been told before that ARCES is not open for discussion. It's not open for amendment. It cannot be amended. It cannot be discussed. So we got nothing to do with ARCES. We are having an initiative that is completely separate from ARCES.
Okay.
Yeah, do you have a go ahead?
Yeah. Now you are negotiating peace in Rome, and after you finish with the negotiations, you might come to South Sudan, and South Sudanese communities are hoping that in 2023 there might be an election, so everybody will go to the poll. Will you stand for the president?
Well, I think it's too early, Bull, to say that we will go to Juba, because I told you, even if we sign an agreement with the government, there will be a timetable for the implementation of certain issues. For example, the security arrangement. You will have also a pre-transitional period. We may also ask for a different transitional period because the timetable of what you call election does not bind us. The 2021 or 2022 elections only binds Kir and Machar and those who have signed the agreement. It has nothing to do with us. We may also ask for another interim period. We may ask for a 5 years interim period. You know, elections is too early, Bull, to talk for elections in South Sudan. Elections are not an end in itself. Elections are not an end. Election is a means to an end. So we are saying what is required in South Sudan now is the issue of returning, first of all, silencing the gun and achieving a comprehensive peace agreement. That's the priority. The second issue is the repatriation of our refugees, you know, and also convincing our people who are in the POCs, be it in Malakal, be it in Juba, be it in Bantu, to go back to their homes, you know, and to provide needed basic services like health, like education. Once that is done, we also encourage the political parties to register, you know, to start mobilizing. All this will take time. You also need the drafting of permanent constitution. You also need to carry census, Yabul. Okay, how are you going to have elections? How on the heck? How do you know the population of South Sudan? You know, who are your voters? You know, what's the demography of South Sudan to have elections? So we are saying, let us not start jumping into elections. Elections are not solution to the crisis in South Sudan. What is needed in South Sudan is the stoppage of the war first, rehabilitation and repatriation of the refugees so that they could go back to their homes. We have to convince our people in the POCs camps to go home, to provide security for them, to build their houses, okay, to build their livelihood, give their children education and health. We write a permanent constitution. We carry out census in South Sudan, and then we establish the political parties and pass the Political Parties Act. You know, we also pass the election laws in the parliament. And then people are given time to build their political parties and start mobilizing. Now, when you tell me that I go and participate in a vote in 2021, I have not even established my party inside Juba. I have not even mobilized. Will I win? I will not. You know, there's nothing for me there. So there's a time. Time is needed, and time frame is needed for us to heal. And also the last thing, also through the reconciliation is needed for our people. Then after that, when Junub is quiet, Junub is comfortable, everybody can sleep in their houses, as one of the singers was singing that anyone can bakida in a will, you can sleep, you know, in peace, you know, because security is there, you know. Then let us have that. Once we have that, then you can have the fancy talks of democracy, you know, and having of elections. But we cannot talk elections now. Nobody's ready. Even Kirzatu, we will have to read the elections, you know. Then I'm sure now, SPLM Zatu, apart from Moye is screaming, what is their program? Mafi. The Oman Jazin Kahizib Zatu, Mafi. You know. So let us not hurry for elections. Elections are those people who want to legitimize themselves, you know, by crooks means, you know, so that they could say, well, we have been elected, you know. Therefore, we do not listen to anybody. No. We are saying South Sudan need an interim period. To me, that's my personal view, South Sudan need minimum of 5 years interim period to do whatever I've talked about. You know, once this 5 years is done and we are healed, then we can talk about the elections. But to talk about election in 2021 is a joke. You know?
Thank you. You know, Emmanuel, we had within boundaries in South Sudan, and we have external boundaries. And right now in South Sudan, our boundaries, our external boundaries are being robbed. You know, there's some intruders coming and take our boundaries. And recently I learned that the problem of 14 miles, I believe you are aware about it, came back. Can you brief us about this? What do you think about this problem of 14 mile in northern Bahr el Ghazal?
Well, this is a very good question, my brother. And that is why someone gets surprised when we said that the government will confirm our borders of South Sudan as they stood on first 56, both internal and external, and they will tell you, no, we don't have to. South Sudan now has become, I don't know what is the right word to use it. South Sudan, in our culture, they say when elephant falls, a lot of knives will appear, and everybody will start cutting their piece. If you look our borders with the north, apart from mile 14, you have areas of Jordan in Upper Nile, you have areas of Moganis and Kaka. All these areas you have Kafisinge, all these areas of Renaz. These are South Sudanese territories. And by the way, these areas are rich. You take it from the belt of Moganis and Kaka, it's all full of what they call the Sumog al-Arabi, which is actually African gum. Okay? Yeah. This Sumog al-Arabi is very expensive. It goes to a lot of manufacturing, and beauty products, And that belt, including northern Bahr el Ghazal Kulu, that belt also is full of Sumog al-Arabi, including mile 14. Come to Ovrenaz and others, there's a lot of gold and a lot of copper in these areas. And these are the areas now North Sudan is claiming that they part from it. And Kiir is keeping quiet. He's not talking. He's worried about the internal borders. He doesn't want to talk about those people taking the northern part of South Sudan. Now you come to Olemi Triangle, okay, between us and Kenya. Olemi Triangle now, there's a lot of oil being found in northern Kenya these days. And they're saying it's in Turkana, it has full of gold. Kenya now, they're having refineries, they're trying to build refineries there. This is our oil. You come to our borders with Uganda. Uganda now troops are actually inside the borders of South Sudan, and claiming lands to belong to them. Because these lands also, they have gold, they have good agricultural soil, that Simsim can grow in. You have wood and you have mahogany and teak. All our areas, these neighbors are encroaching into it because we don't have a strong government. We have a government that does not give a damn, about the borders of South Sudan, the external borders of South Sudan. And hence, they're just letting it go, and these areas now are being exploited by these countries. Now, I was reading a newspaper yesterday. They're saying that the North Sudanese have discovered oil south of Kosti. Guess where is south of Kosti? South of Kosti, these are the northern Upper Nile territories of the Shuluk and the others. These territories now, if there's oil being discovered there and they're building refineries, where they refine 40,000 or 40,000 barrels a day, these are very serious issues, So we are saying that the government of Kiir doesn't have vision. The government of Kiir doesn't have the political clout to stand up and tell these neighbors, stop your nonsense. These are our territories. They don't have it because the government is weak. You have those of Turkey now all the time crawling to Khartoum, buying Amarat and selling left and right, selling Junub. They're selling our country cheaply, and nobody's answering them. But people are praising them. Turkey said Junub. I said that is selling the country. That is the irony we are in. The traitors and betrayers who are betraying our country are the ones sitting in J1. They're the ones ruling our country. They're the ones being called leaders in our country. While yet our country and our borders are being nibbled like a small fish, day out. So I agree with you that the government in Juba is very apprehensive. Very unconcerned about what is happening on our borders, and that's very sad.
Thank you, Ambassador. I will yield the floor to some of my colleagues so we can share.
Somebody has asked the question. It's called Okwenyi. Mr. Ajawin, what are your plan B? If the government refuses to negotiate with you in good faith, well, nobody can talk about their plan B on social media, Okwenyi. When we get there, we'll cross the bridge.
Thank you. Madida, I give the floor to you and Isaac because I have too many questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I need to move away from a little bit. I know the next question will be a little bit tough, Emmanuel. So let's move back.
Emmanuel, get ready. The next
please, please ask any question. Nothing is tough. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we are moving to Upper Nile.
Emmanuel Ajawin.
Yeah, we're moving to Upper Nile. As you see that for the past few months, people, South Sudan government and IO, they have been talking back and forth about the appointment of General Johnson Willing to be the governor of Upper Nile. So what is for you as a son about Upper Nile, Emmanuel? What do you see if Dr. Young Machar changed his mind and appointed a different person, either from Shuluk, from Dinka, or from Nuer? If that appointment will have an impact or in SOMA, or will SOMA have to delay their peace negotiation with the government?
No, I mean, SOMA has nothing to do with the arrangement they have. Whether Johnson Olany is the governor or whoever, that is the prerogative, of course, of the IO, and we have no control over the IO who they appoint as a governor. That is their business. They are the people who have signed the agreement with CARE. But I believe appointment of governors is not the solution. In Upper Nile, there are serious solutions. There are serious crises, and these are the crises of the land, especially between the Upper Dang and the Shuluk. And these issues must be resolved amicably. Regardless of who comes as a governor, these issues must be addressed. And especially the ownership of Malakal, which belongs to the Shuluk. This thing must be resolved amicably. So it is immaterial who is the governor, be it Olany or anybody else, as long as the lands of the Shuluks are still occupied and the Shuluk feel that their land has been occupied, the struggle will continue even if Olany become a governor. But the lands of the Shuluk are not given to them. I'm sure the Shuluk in Upper Nile will not stop their struggle for their land because Johnson Olany is the governor. I'm sure those of Olany and the Agwelek that he leads, when they rebel, they did not rebel because of governorship of Upper Nile. They rebelled because of the land. So if the issue of the land is not resolved, the problem will continue. And whether Olany is appointed governor or not, and as long as land is not resolved, then the war continues. So, we hope that this is why we are talking about South 56, so that the issues of the land and other people's lands could be addressed amicably. To us in SOMA, we do not believe in positions. So basically, it is none of our business. It is their business in the fertilized arses. This is IO and Olany and the government. It's up to them.
Yeah, thank you. As you see, there's a video that going around in social media for past few days. There's a video that Johnson Willing to say that because you see that the piece, you see the way that if he is not appointed to be a governor, and also he meant something about he want to go to Upper Nile to make a war there or something going on. So can you tell if that's a message that you can send to General Willing that because we are now in peace environment? So what will you say to
Well, I cannot tell Olany that there's peace because I'm not even that part of peace. Will Olany believe me? If there's peace, Olany will tell him, why are you out? So I don't believe there's peace. So I'm not the right person to advise Olany on that.
Okay.
Because there's no peace to advise him. So if Olany is deciding that he want to fight, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't command Olany to do what to do, what not to do. He's an independent thinker. He's an independent person. He has a force that he leads, and if the force tell him to fight, Emmanuel Ajawin cannot stop him. If the force tell him to have peace, I cannot stop him. So I have no control over what Olany says or what Olany want to do.
So are you supporting Johnson Willing to be a governor of Upper Nile?
Well, I cannot support Olany or I cannot disapprove of him. I'm not part of the agreement.
Okay.
So I have nothing to do with it. The governorship in Upper Nile has to do with IO. You know my views about IO. So yeah. I'm the last person for you to ask about that.
Okay, thank you. So
IO is not my cup of tea. You know that.
So okay, yeah. So as you said, yeah. Okay, guys. Isaac, go ahead if you have a follow-up question.
No, I have no question now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, thank you. So I think I have all of my question. I have it. I think I finished. So thank you, Emmanuel. So this is the wonderful show that you came in and give us the update and answer all the questions that we have in Let's Say Media, and the rest of the guests that who are watching, they ask you question. Let me pull up if there is a question from audience. So please pull it up before we close the show.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody was talking about Pantau. Pantau, yeah, Pantau is our territory.
Yeah.
You need to ask here. Kir has gone quiet about Pantau. Someone is asking a question here. How is SOMA going to ensure trust among South Sudanese who have been traumatized by the current regime of divide and rule system when we all accept federalism? Yeah, I think this is a very, very good question, my brother. South Sudanese, they have been traumatized by this conflict. And they need healing. The healing could only come when there is accountability for those who have committed atrocities against innocent civilians in South Sudan. We in SOMA, we are working hard to ensure that accountability, justice prevail in our country, so that we could have a respite, and the relatives of those who have been killed could actually can close that chapter of the wounds that they have in their hearts. SOMA, we believe that we have the program to build our country, economical program of how to build our country. We have a social program of how to reconstruct the social fabric of our country. And we have also a political program for democratization of South Sudan and the good governance of our country. We believe that the struggle is long, but our country deserves better. With the resources that we have in our country, South Sudan is able to emerge from this destruction, to become a country where we are all proud of as a people, to become a country that will be, a pride of East Africa as a region and Africa as a continent. This is not a far-fetched dream, but we believe in ourselves as a people. We as a people of South Sudan, we are talented, we are resilient people, and we can achieve it. Given the correct and the right leadership in our country, we can bring the transformation that we want. SOMA believes that there is no any economical development, there is no any political great achievement without industrialization. If you talk now, you look at South Sudan, there's not even a single industry. Hata beta sabun saket ma indana, sharka beta sabun saket mafu. Sharka saket beta tamatem ma beta salsal ma indana. You know, we don't even have sharka beta kabrit. You know, we don't have it. And a country that does not have industry, be it light or heavy industry, cannot progress economically. It cannot achieve the socioeconomic development that we want. We believe in SOMA, we have that ideas, and we believe we have the leadership that are able to transform our country and to be able South Sudan to compete within the East African region and a world as large. We also believe that the South Sudan need economic nationalism, where we need to empower South Sudanese so that we have a very strong private sector in South Sudan. The government need to help, create and divide wealth among our people, and to also empower our entrepreneurs so that our women, our men and youth are able to contribute economically to the country. We must be able to open factories in various countries, varying part of our country, be it in Equatoria, where we have factories to do with ananas. We do the Apatalanga coffee project, and the Anzara cotton project, and other projects that we need to do. In Greater Barghazal, where you have a lot of cattle and a lot of resident people killing themselves and Bagar Saket, okay? Because, we need to enhance this and add economical value of cow into our economy. We need to create slaughterhouses in Greater Barghazal. We need to create a national airport, even in Rumbek, so that our meat could be sold into the international market of the Middle East, so that the money and the revenue that we get, we can educate our children in legs, in other part of Greater Barghazal, so that our kids could go to school and learn, so that they could actually become a true citizen of our country, where the country can benefit from them. So we leave the cattle wrestling for the generation that have gone. We don't want our people in 20 years from now, our sons and daughters and our grandchildren, to be killing themselves between a Puk and Marif Shunu, Sankalamta Bagar. No, we don't want this. We want this to be thing of the past. So we have to embark on this. Also, in the education policy, we believe education is a right, not a privilege. We need to provide free education from primary to the university level, you know, so that our children could be educated. We must have a mass education revolution, you know. During Cuba Revolution, by the way, those of Fidel Castro, even Cuba now, the literacy number is almost 90-something%. You know, what did Fidel Castro do? What did he do? He made sure that when they took the power in 1959 and took Batista out, you know, they made education compulsory to everybody in Cuba. You know, the university students during their holidays, they were allowed to go back to the villages and educate people. Even those who were adults, they were taught how to read and write. This is what we want to do in South Sudan. We have to campaign for education, because it's only through education that we can achieve change. If we don't educate our people will continue remaining in stone ages, in ancient time, killing themselves over cattle wrestling and other nonsensical things, and life will not matter. But if we educate our children like we have been educated now, most of us who are watching this video today, that's why we are having this civil discussion. We need to educate our people. To do that, government need to invest in education. Now, if you look at the budget of South Sudan, you look at the yearly budget Batam. You know how much they spend on education? Only 5%. How much do they spend on health? 5%. How much do they spend on defense? 40%. 40%. That way the country cannot progress. We need to reverse it. 5% should be spent on the military and security, but 40% of our wealth should be spent on education and health, so that you have healthy people, you have educated people. That is how we can transform our country. This is what SOMA believes in terms of education. In terms of the social fabric, we think there's a need for a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where we need to reconcile ourselves so that we could live in harmony among ourselves, you know, so that I do not look at you as Agar, Apat Sakit, well, a Monshuluk Sakit, well, a Monidor. No, that will not take us anywhere. We want to create a program by the government. Government must lead a program of nationalism, you know, through education, as I said, through schools that we used to have, and encourage our children to go to these schools. We need a federal system that is based on devolution of powers and wealth, not federalism based on ethnicity, you know, where you give Shuluk their own estate, Nur their own estate. That is not, will not build and cement the nationalism we want. That is not South Sudan we want. We want South Sudan where we all be proud of. A South Sudan where I could move to any state as a citizen and live there and be able to have my political right respected, to have my dignity respected, to have the right to enter into economical activities without me being looked that I come from another state. This is the Junub we want. You know, this is South Sudan we want, and we believe in SOMA. We have the program, and we have the abilities to achieve it. And also we have the time with us as the youth. You know, the old men in Juba, they're getting old. You know, in 20 years, they will not be there. 20 years will be you or others who are there. It is you that is the future of the country. So that's why we are telling the youth, rather than sitting down like old people watching the football, you know, you come and participate actively in this revolution so that we could bring change. You know, who will bring change? Medit and Bull. We need to be together. You come and join us in SOMA. You know, come and join us. Why not?
Let me interrupt you.
Otherwise, you go and join Juba rather than sit neutral.
Let me interrupt you. You said that the old men in Juba are getting old. So you believe in generation exit?
Yes, I believe absolutely, Bull. These guys, they have overstayed. It's time for them to go out and leave the generation to take over the country and be able to rule. We cannot be ruled, Bull, by Nazda Zaman. Okay? Nazda, they don't even have WhatsApp on their on their mobiles. They cannot even use the emails, you know. And we are in the 21st century, you know. These are the people who have no political program. Yes, we thank them for the political achievement of liberating our country. There's no doubt. We will thank them for that, and we are indebted for them for that achievement. We congratulate them. Let them retire, and we'll give them a retirement package. Let them stay home. You know, let this generation take over, you know, the torch. You know, let them take over the torch so that they could actually reform our country. You know, these old dudes, they have nothing to offer. They have already exhausted themselves. It is time for them to go and play with their grandchildren and leave the running of the country to these energetic youth that are able to bring change. Look at Ethiopia, Jama. President Abiy is younger than me. Okay, President Abiy is younger than me. He's the president of Ethiopia. He's only 44 or 43 when he took over. He's younger than most of us who are watching. Is Ethiopia better than us? Look at Bobby Wine now. How old is he? I don't think he's even 42. He's want to become president. Look at my layman South Africa. Look at Uhuru 50s.
Yes.
So the young people,
Yes, you're right. But the difference between Bobby Wine and Soma is that Bobby Wine is campaigning at home, eye to an eye with the President Museveni. But
it's a matter of time.
Soma is campaigning in Rome.
Yes.
So for you to be like Bobby Wine,
we are not campaigning. We are not campaigning yet in Rome. We're still negotiating. Campaign will come.
for you to be like our Bobby Wine, you need to be in Juba.
Bobby Wine now has been locked up. Museveni, when you see Bobby Wine is doing rally and a lot of people are coming out and say, Bobby Wine, get inside the jail, and then they're not.
Imagine that Museveni doing what about this Moindid called Kir? What will he do with Ajawin? I will not even be locked up.
That is by a COVID-19 rule.
Bobby Wine at least is getting some first class treatment of going to jail. Some of us may not even have that decency of going to jail. People may go somewhere they will not come back. So what we are saying in Aaron, my brothers, is this: our country need to be transformed. The current leadership that you have today, there's a really serious problem of generation gap. They are unable to transform themselves into a modern leadership that will be able to bring the socioeconomic transformation we want in our country. Even the concept of democracy is very alien to them, And you could see Museveni struggling. By being criticized, he take it personal, Kir now, if you criticize him, they'll say, this boy, what are you left with Facebook? They don't see that you could have a positive criticism in a democratic society. So they not even comprehend the democratization themselves. They talk about democracy, but they don't believe in it. So you need a new generation. I believe in a generation exit, so that you could have a space for these energetic young men and women to be able to reform their country.
Emmanuel, we are Bol and we are in America, and we just get out from the election, like a few weeks ago. And the candidate that are running for, Joe Biden and President Trump, they are over 70 years old. And you see, political in America, the young, as you can see, the youngest president in American history is a former President Obama. And the rest are above 70s. So if the reason why I'm bringing this example is because you mentioned about generation exit.
But you want to compare, Medit. You want to compare the Americans, old men, with the Juba old men in the Juba. Okay. Now let us talk seriously. Okay. You talk about Trump and you talk about Biden. How many years has Biden spent in politics? More than 40 years. No?
40 years, yeah.
So as a person, he has already, acquired, the experience that's required for leadership. Okay. He has he has accumulated the wealth of experience that is required to be a statesman. Okay. And he still has a party that is strong, a party that will support him. You can be a head of a state or you can be president in America, but the party is the one that helps you with the idea, with the political program. So American economy, whether the president they are there or they are not there, the economy will not collapse. They already achieved a lot. South Sudan. Okay. Kir, for example, take experience-wise. Apart from the military struggle, what does Kir has in terms of leadership and political experience? Mafi. Okay. Now, leave alone Kir. You look at the SPLM leaders. Let us have an honest discussion. Look at Dr. John. How many years did Dr. John work as a civil servant or as an army commander in the army? Not too long. He finished. He went after Addis Ababa 72. He went to do his master. He went to do his PhD. He came and joined. After 2 years, he went to the bush. So he has not even 10 years experience in work. Come to Riyad Macharteng. Riyad graduated with PhD here in Britain. What did he do? He went to the SPLM straight away. He didn't even get a chance to come and work at the University of Khartoum. So he has not even 3 years work experience as a civil servant. Tuwali Legaba. What else next? Tuwali woman vice president. Okay? You come to Dr. Lam. Dr. Lam, from his PhD, he taught in Khartoum University from 1980 to 1986. So it's only 6 years experience as a university teacher. Okay? And you talk about many South Sudanese. What experience do they have in terms of the political leadership and political experience? Mafi. Okay. Yes, they were truly commanders in the field. You now in America, I'm telling you, you are more experienced than most of them. Because if you look how long you have been working and where you have worked, you will find yourself you have worked no less than 10 years in your area. You know? So you have learned the ethics of work. You know? We are saying we are not against them. We are saying they have done their bit. Okay? They have fought this war. They have sacrificed. It is enough. Okay? Even in the Bible, Ya Jama, when the children of Israel left Egypt, okay, they were very hardened in their hearts. You know, what did God tell Abraham? Or to tell Moses, sorry. Allah God, Moses, can you work with them 40 years in the desert? Moses went from Saudi Arabia, came all the way walking Arbain Sana, until that generation that left with him in Egypt. All of them died. Yes? All of them died, including even Moses. The only person that left to the promised land was Joshua, with the young generation. Because God knew that each and every generation has a purpose. You cannot be a liberator, and you also want to build the country, and you also want to enjoy the fruits of that. No. Yes, they have fought the war. They will have to go. You bring a generation that will put the foundation on. They will have to go. And you have a generation that will enjoy that fruit. The generation that will enjoy the fruit of South Sudan is not you and I, by the way. You and I also are old now. We're getting old. If we are given a chance, we can only build the foundation that we need. So that your children, my children, and our grandchildren, they are the one who is going to enjoy South Sudan. Okay? Because I believe every generation has a duty. These guys, they are liberators. We thank them. Let them retire. Time has come for a new generation to pick up, to build the country, to put the foundation, and for others to come and complete it. It's a generational war. You know? Unless we understand that psychologically, we will not appreciate the generation exit. Because if you and I tomorrow also sit in the power, and we also reach our 80s and want to stay forever, our children will also topple us. Because they will tell us, you are not the right guys. By that time, there's new gadget, there's new thinking of how to run the world. This is what I'm arguing.
Let me tell you this story, Emmanuel. You remind me of the story. There's a story that in Dinka, but I will try my best to translate it to English. You know that one time, there was a long time ago, long years ago. This is the story, a folktale of Dinka. So that is and probably you heard about it. There were the people who are living together, as you know, people are living in the village and all kinds of stuff. And during the time, there was a rule. The young people came and said that we want to get rid of all the elders, all the elders. The old people. We need to kill them. They're useless. They don't have anything to contribute to our community. They are consuming everything. We want to get rid of them. So the person who have son, the dad, they want to kill all the old. You see, no person left except one person. One young guy. He said that I cannot kill my daddy.
And hide him.
He's dead. You see, he hide his dead. So, and he give his food. And then he said that.
But it is now going to hide Kir.
That's why they tell me I'm a kid supporter.
You want to hide Kir, you can hide him. So when you kill our fathers, you can bring Kir to be advisor?
No, the reason I'm trying to tie your generation exit with this story.
No, we are not saying they're useless, Ahmadid. We are saying let them leave the tariff.
No,
let me give you an example. Let me give you an example, Madid. Have you seen one of the parliamentary, there's a time in Museveni was delivering a keynote speech to the parliament. And one of the journalists managed to take the photos and camera for the cabinet. Most of them were sleeping. And the president delivering a keynote speech. Okay. Most of them, they're in their 70s, late 60s, and 80s. Okay. Even time to concentrate for meetings out of Murphy. Bunum. You know? You have now in Juba, the parliamentarian Kubara guys, you're not against them. But you have the same. You'll find them, they're dozing off under Mukaif, Bunumu, and they wake up only going home. You cannot run a country like this, South Sudan is a new country. It needs energy. It needs political leaders who are there, who can deliver, who are physically and mentally fit to run the country, But when you have people, even 70s, medically speaking, medically speaking, your brain starts slowing down. Your concentration. But I'm sure now you're not the guy who was 20 years ago. You're not the same energy, So leave alone 70 and running the country like South Sudan, where you have issues of Pantau here, you have issue of Hilit, you have issue of Melarbatashe, you have Elimi here, okay? You have to wake up Ajawin and Rome, they're making a lot of noise. These things are there, You need somebody who's energetic, to be able to take the country forward. So I don't believe that you kill them. I believe that they can take an advisory role,
Right.
where they are retired. You give them package, let them go, and give guys like Madid and Bull to run the country and those of Isaac.
Yeah. So the point of my story is not that we're killing the whole, but I'm trying to tie this story with the point that you are making. So let me play this story. When this guy, there was a baby was sleeping, okay? This baby is sleeping in they call it a gag or something. And then the snakes come nowhere. And the snake tie him itself on this baby.
Yeah.
And snake bring his head to the boy's head, want to bite the baby. And then the people were so confused how they can save the boy.
Yeah, there's no one to swallow the child is Nyal.
Yeah. So, and then people are so confused what they can do. And then this guy, he said that guy, one of the guys said that if we have the eldest person among us here, you could tell us the idea how we can remove this snake from the boys. And then this guy raised his hand. He said, "Can I? If I know somebody, the older, will you guys kill him or you allow it? Please, bring him." He said, "Okay, I have my dad." This guy went and bring his dad, and they explained to him. He said, "Dad, this is what happened." And when the old guy see the kid, the snake on his back, this old guy went. He said that get me mouse. And
mouse, crop, yes,
mouse, yeah, some of them, and they bring it, and the old guy bring the mouse and sit down slow, and the snake start get out from the boys.
Yeah, uncoiling, yes, uncoiling.
Yeah, and until the snake go away. You see, and those young generation, they don't even know, they don't have idea that they can do that. They don't know, but the old person know. The point I want to make is this. Yes,
but do you know that story was invented by an old man too?
That's what I would be laughing a lot of.
Yes, of course they can, but and then
it was invented by an old man who want to make himself relevant, so you should kill him.
So yeah, so the point I want to make here is that the youth, the young generation, they need this SPLA veteran that who fought during movement, see 1956 or 1970 to 2011. We need them to give us advice, to guide us, you see. So if we remove them, my point I want to make here, if we remove them, we just don't want to remove them right away. You see, as you see, Emmanuel, South Sudan have not. South Sudan have, since we get independent in 2011, South Sudan has not even been stable condition.
Why?
We want civil war after civil war after civil war.
Why was it not stable?
Because of differences.
You had the opportunity.
Because differences.
Differences of who? Between who? With these old guys you're supporting?
Exactly, and between us and some most of the citizens.
No, you don't leave alone us. It was them who started it. Nothing to do with you and
yes,
I.
it's them. It's them and us, because we are part of that people too. So if we what I want to make here is this: the first thing we want to make is to give South Sudan to be a better. We thought that the country since 2011, we thought that we now 2020. For the 15 years that has been spent for nothing, war, people killing each other. These past 15 years, South Sudan should devolve. But South Sudan are fighting themselves, you see. So what I'm saying here is that if these old people give them a chance during the time and the political breakaway and they are fighting each other over stuff, these people can be removed peacefully. They say peacefully. They say, okay, you guys, your time is up. This is the time now. We cannot, if I give you
you'll wait forever, my friend, if you're waiting for them to just exit peacefully. But what I'm trying, I mean, this is just beside the point. But what we need to talk about in our country is that the generation that is in leadership now, they have shown to the people of South Sudan that they're irresponsible in terms of running. Precisely when you said from 2011, South Sudan became independent at a very good condition. We had our oil, the oil was pumping. We had a lot of money in our hands. But what happened? This money was looted by this generation you're talking about, who said they've been fighting for too long. It is time for them to pay themselves. So they start eating the money of the country. There's no development. There's no infrastructure. And even if they left South Sudanese alone, would have been better. They start even quarreling among themselves who should be the leader. As a result, they start killing South Sudanese, over almost 500,000 that they have been killed. So you cannot tell me that the continued existence of these people will bring peace. It's actually opposite. These dudes are having their old grievances. And these old grievances is what is appearing now in the political circles. You know, something happened in 1991, it started being referred to in 2013. Something happened in 1983, 84 is again being tabled again in 2020 something. So these old guys are still carrying their grievances, their old grievances. And through these old grievances, they are destroying our country. That's why the country is where it is today. It's not because of the youth. The youth are the victim now of these old men. Okay, the youth, they have lost now. By the way, maybe many of guys who are in the West, they may be having homes, they may be having their children in schools and hospitals. But the rest of the generation, the majority of the youth of South Sudan today are in despair. They have no good schools for their kids. You know, they cannot even put food on the table for their children. And they're aging. Some of them are getting sick, there's no medication. Okay, you cannot tell me the continuation of these old dudes is good for the country, because they have shown us that their presence has brought destruction, has brought corruption, has been destruction in South Sudan. So what is needed is the new generation, a generation that does not carry that old grievances that these guys have. Yes, we thank them for it, for what they have done. Okay, it is time for them to be given a package for retirement. You know, pension, whatever. You know, give them good houses for them to live in, and time has to move on. Okay, but what is important to us as people of South Sudan is that the youth must know the responsibility. They cannot sit down and dream. And by the way, many of us now who are in mid-40s and going to 50s soon, we are not young. Okay, even now our sons and daughters, they're already in their teenagers. Some of them are in their universities. They're also calling themselves youth. You know. So I think what is needed is a serious engagement where we have to empower what we call the majority of our population, which is the youth. Empower them, so that they could take an active role, okay, in transforming and bringing change in our country. This is what is need to be done. We need to develop confidence in them, okay, that you have the right to lead this country, including our youth and our women too. You know, who are lagging behind. They also need to be brought with us together. So together we could bring the reform in our country. The people who are ruling now, to me, they have already spent their energy. They have done their best, and they need to just retire and leave the space for the other generations to take over.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you know, I agree. Most of the point you are making, I agree with you. You know, because if we can talk about the youth, for example, South Sudan youth, you see. And you see youth, the political now in South Sudan that is decided by based on who are supporting you. And the youth are siding with their uncles, and you know that everyone. So the youth, what I'm seeing here, the youth, the weapon that youth can be is education.
Yes.
So our youth are not educated in South Sudan, and that's the reason why that's the big challenge. If the youth are well educated, there's a good education, and the youth can do better. But now the majority of youth are not well educated. And with the most of the majority of youth who are diaspora and came to our diaspora, we should, and that's where we fail. We Southerners who came to our Western world, we failed the big time. We should
how did we fail?
We failed because we sided. We supported what's going on back home. We're supposed to be an ambassador of peace. We're supposed to involve, like for example, you and I, Emmanuel. If we, because I'm not a kind of person that I want to be in a position to have to be a ministry or to be a general, all kinds of stuff. No, this is if we want to make a difference in South Sudan, to make changes, we have to start from the grassroots root level to go back to the villages, educate this young generation. If we want to develop South Sudan, like 15 years from now, if we want South Sudan to be a better educated country in Africa, 15, 20 years from now, we are the one who will invest in this country and it evolve by educate this young generation, and this young generation will take. You see, the position right now South Sudan is in. You see, we cannot change. South Sudan cannot change overnight.
One thing I would like to just correct here. Yeah. You know, the youth, because of the lack of clear political program by the ruling elite, the youth, they have been reduced to followers. The youth have been reduced to be only people who carry briefcases of the political leaders. The youth have been informed that in order for you to survive, you must pay allegiance to your tribe and hence follow one of your tribal politicians. That's where the food is. Okay. But this is actually making the youth beggars. The Arab, they say, Jawa, kalbak, yet back. Don't overfeed your dog. If you want your dog to follow you, always give it little food. So he continue following you because they need more food from you. Because they expect it is you who give them food. This is what's happening to our youth. Youth need to be empowered. Okay. How do you empower them? As we speak today, you have thousands of our youth who are university graduates or even college graduates, but there are no jobs. You were in Juba, I was in Juba. You are playing Kustena, Doman and Shatarain in Muniki, in Wen, Godel. Their years are passing by. I'm sure the guys who used to hang out with in 2011, while people are in Juba, you will go today, you will find them instead playing in the same place, playing chess and playing dominoes. 9 years after. No progress. Who is to blame? It's not the youth. They have nothing. The people to blame is the leaders who wanted to make this youth unproductive. If the government today would have opened factories, as I said, you have agricultural factories in Western Equatoria or in Greater Equatoria. You have slaughterhouses in lakes. You have refineries in Upper Nile, and you have so forth and so forth. These industries, you will have to employ thousands of youth. Okay, you will have daytime, you will have night shifts. Okay, these thousands of youth, they will go there and they have their dream to pursue. They want to marry, they want to have children, and those who are married, they want to educate their children and live in dignity. Do you think they will have time for you to join you as an uncle in politics? No, because they have other sources of income. By them working in factories, they will get money. They don't have to lick someone's butt. Someone's shoes. They don't have to lick someone's shoes, in order for them to survive, But if you deprive them from all this and you tell them, no, there's nothing for you. There are no factories, there's nothing. The only way to eat, just follow me as your politician. What do you expect them to do? Because it becomes survival. I'm not justifying their tribal notion, but it is them, the politicians, who are controlling the minds of the youth. So we are saying the youth has to liberate their minds. You know, you cannot liberate yourself, but you cannot liberate people, but you can only liberate yourself. Free your mind first. That we are saying that the youth should not sit down and watch. They should not stand on the wall. The youth has to take an active role in the revolutionary change. Let me finish with it. The youth in Khartoum, who took Bashir out, is this youth. You know, these young men and women. They went to the street. They said enough is enough. You know, we cannot be ruled by the same man for 30 years. He's oppressing us. He has to go. They demonstrated, they brought the change. But if the youth of South Sudan are sitting and dreaming, Medit, that tomorrow this Uncle Lad will just leave, you know, you will continue dreaming forever. Revolution is not passive. Revolution is active, you know. So you cannot sit down and dream of change, you know, unless you are God. There's God that says, let there be water and water comes. Let there be Marif, Shunu, Yela Biji, Allah. But in our world, it is only us who have to bring that. You cannot just sit down and say, well, let change happen. Change will not happen until you change yourself, you know. So we are saying youth have to lead a revolution. We cannot wait forever for these Ancolat, for them to leave the jobs for you. They will not, you know. So it is us to unite as youth behind a program, okay? And the program we are saying we have it in SOMA. Forget about SOMA and this propaganda. Even as Emmanuel, the head Dinka, Mariv, Nas Thomas Cirillo, they're asking for equatorial separation. These are things in their mind, you know. It is not in reality, you know. It is put in your mind so that you do not contribute. You do not come. Huh? It's like a sheep. A sheep is always being told by the shepherd that, you know, don't worry about me, always worry about the wolf. The wolf will come and eat you. But if you look at the statistics as to who kills sheep more, is it the wolf or the shepherd? You'll find out it's the shepherd that eat them for dinner. And the wolf only eat a couple of them in a year. So the person who the sheep should be fearing is the shepherd, you know, not the wolf. So people have made that it is Emmanuel and Thomas and others in SOMA who are people to be scared of. But it is them who are the true enemy of the youth. This is what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Ajawin, for elaborating on the exhaustions of the answers you have been giving us. And you really just need to drop in one bomb. Just need something that I need to clarify. I need to hear from you. In the last Rome feast talk, did you go to Rome yourself?
Oh yes, I was there.
Okay. There was some rumors that seemed like was not there, and there's some things that has
that I was not there.
That you had a temper when you were in the meeting, and you seemed like you walked out in the meeting, something like that.
No. I didn't walk out, but it is one of the government official who slapped the microphone while I was talking. His own microphone.
Oh, okay, not yours.
No, it's not mine. I didn't walk out. That's not me.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that that's what I need to clarify there. Thank you so much.
It is a government official. You need to investigate who he was, but not me.
Emmanuel.
I think it always get hot, but not me.
I sukun batala and arifo. This is how I get bellet be amulukide. I might be a some chine. A few shatta, a few mele, a few ajadel kulu, umashi.
That's not me. Yeah.
All right, my brother, Bolmakur. Are you guys still have things to ask, or we end the show? Bol, are you with us, or you just freeze? Abraham?
I think Bol has frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen.
Yes.
Unmute yourself, man.
Yeah, Bol having a network. Yeah, Bol having network issues.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we have everything that we cover. Okay, I mute myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Ball is coming. He came back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you were having a network issue. If you have anything that
Yes.
you need to add in?
No, I hope I am okay, but we are telling Ambassador that Lake State Media is coming to Rome to cover the
You're
event.
welcome. You're welcome, Bull. You're welcome. You're
Hey,
welcome. It is your right. You're
hey.
welcome.
By the way, who is paying the expenses in Rome, accommodation and everything?
It's the mediators.
Mediators, not the government nor you.
No, how can government pay for us?
Okay.
Yeah, they will not pay.
So
It's
we,
always the mediators.
yeah,
Even in the Navasha or any talks, they're always the mediators paying for it. Not
Mediators.
the
Okay.
government. We don't have it. And then we are rebel. We get the money to pay for mediation.
but they are not the one paying for your transportation, right?
No, they are paying for everything. They're mediators.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, I am very happy for you come to Lake State Media, and I believe the youth are listening, and the youth need to change because there are change for many areas in South Sudan, not only in government. Youth also need to think and invent their own companies.
Yes.
There is something happened to me when I went to Juba, because we are not going to blame everything on Kir, but also we blaming things to other people that in the government. I went to Juba and I was planning to register my security company. So I went to one of the lawyers and prepare my document, and I went to and they told me that you should go to national security so they can stamp it. Imagine some youth blocked me for this document only to be stamped, So I told them, this is a creation of employment to you youth. So also when we talk here, youth back home also need to change to give us a way. When we go with the plan, they need to open ways. Because we blame everything to Kir, but our youth, even from the West here, are the one and sit and wait for things not to happen. And they used that block me. They were a youth from Australia and some from United States and some from Canada. So, and we said that we come to Western world so we can learn the system.
That is why, Paul, you want the old men to continue. You have personal issues with the youth.
That was your communication with Madid.
Yeah, I'm still having the smoke.
Madid is the one that hired one of the old men.
You want to hide Alpha. So you can hide.
But I said everything should have a limited, everything should be limited, So that was Madid. I don't know when is he going to remove that one old man who is coming with a frog to give it to the snake, so the snake will untie itself.
Yes.
By Madid. So
okay.
The point that I was making, youth also, we should listen. And when we go back home after this declaration from Rome, so because I know you guys will go back home, and we should learn from here when these negotiations finish, and we go back home, and Emmanuel possibly put me in a certain position, I should remember not to block people with good ideas. We should allow people to go through so things can be invented, So here in the United States, we always believe in invention. And sometimes you should not even talk with somebody who never invent anything. Okay? Because if somebody don't produce, that person actually should not be seen as legitimate. So South Sudanese, they need to start invention and production, which is the thing that I believe a lot, So they want to learn from this show that we need to to accomplish things instead of playing dominoes. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bol Makur. I appreciate your remarks, and also I would like to say thank you, Emmanuel Ajawin. You encourage youth a lot.
Before you close the show, I have the last because this is the part of a part of the interview for Emmanuel. I don't want to let my own go that easily. I didn't have this question. Because we talk a lot about youth, so which is very good, and we want to put some of salt and into it. You see,
and
Emmanuel, as you see that. Let me go back.
I did watch out. Emmanuel is getting out his jacket.
No, wrestling time.
It's getting hot in the room. So,
It's getting hot, yeah.
Have a boxing, don't worry.
It's okay.
Yeah. You know, Emmanuel, as you know, like South Sudan United Front, they have crisis themselves within that party for a couple of months ago. And Sunday John, as we all know that we interviewed him in this show, he created his own South Sudan United Front, apart from Long.
Yes.
So while you guys were in Rome, why did you including Sunday John in your negotiation group in SSOMA?
Well, I think this is a good question. You know, yes, it is unfortunate that SSUF was having the crisis within them. But also don't forget that when we suspended the SSUF, it was still intact. You know, I think that time Sunny Dijon did not defect completely. I mean, did not really split and form his own party. Therefore, the administrative measures that we took in terms of investigation, that was towards those of SSUF, was still in place, which means including investigation of Sunday Dijon is part of who will be investigated. So we await the investigation, the results of the investigation, and the recommendation by the investigation committee. Based on it, of course, we will decide what course of action to take, whether to admit to lift the suspension of the SSUF, and of course, when we reach to that, we will have to look to the issues of the SSUF having two factions and how to deal with it. But for the time being, to answer you, SSUF is still suspended, including Sunday Dijon. So until that due process is complete, Sunday Dijon, of course, and any other SSUF will not be part and parcel of the Rome negotiations.
Okay. Yeah, because, you know, when you guys are in Rome, I didn't see Malone or Pagan in the top, and they are part of SSOMA. And SSOMA now is divided into two. And
they were not there. They are not there. Just
they are not there. So how will they? So are you guys between two SSOMA? So if Malone and Pagan, they will meet with the government separately? Or
there's no two SSOMA, Madid. Okay. I say there's no two SSOMA. SSOMA is only one. SSOMA, it is those who have signed the charter, which means the four organizations that have signed the charter, that is NAS, SSNMC, UDRM, and NDM Patriotic Front. These are the four organizations that have signed the charter of SSOMA. Malone has been suspended, so he had no opportunity to sign. He has been suspended, and he is waiting his suspension and the due process. After that, he will, of course, come back to SSOMA, you know, and be readmitted after the investigation is over, hopefully, you know. So there's no two SSOMA here. Pagan Amum is not part of the SSOMA. He refused to sign the charter. But if he wants to be part of SSOMA, of course, he will come and sign the charter. So there's no two SSOMA. That's why you see in the dialogue, it's only one SSOMA.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Emmanuel, I know that Paul Malone of SAP and the real SPLM of Pagana Moma are going to negotiate separately with the government, right?
I don't know. I don't know. You're telling me. I don't know. It's a new information. They may, because by the way, Bull, they are South Sudanese. So if they choose that they want to negotiate with Kir, we cannot stop them. But they will not negotiate as part of the SOMA we are in.
Yes, they're not going to negotiate as part of SOMA, but it is mentioned. It is being mentioned in Santiago.
I think you met them. I think you met Malone a couple of weeks ago in Nairobi. So
yes, that's a very good. You know, this is a very good talk that you are bringing up. It was the same thing that we're talking about now. That's what I was discussed with them because I asked them last time, Ms. Nyamach, we have had a talk with you, but recently things went quiet. What is the development? And she updated me that.
Nyamach did what? Sorry.
Nyamach, I asked her that we have asked you last time because when you went to Rome, Nyamach and Malone, they are all Malone team. They were suspended and they were not a part of the charter because that was the time they refused to sign the charter. What you call
they did not refuse. By the way, Malone never refused.
No, not Malone. Okay, they were suspended. Let me use the suspension. They were suspended.
Yes.
And they did not sign the merit certificate you said, which is the charter. You called it the merit certificate last time.
So only Pagana Mom did not sign. But Paul Malone has signed the charter and
Paul Malone did not sign because he was suspended, so he couldn't sign. He was not in the meeting.
Paul Malone did not sign because he was suspended.
Yes.
Pagana Mom did not sign because Malone was suspended, right?
Yes.
So the merit certificate was not being signed. And so when I went to Nairobi, I met them and I asked them, recently, you went quiet. And I heard this week that the SOMA went to Rome. What are you going to do? So they update me that they are also going to negotiate with the government separately. And it is also mentioned in the dialogue. In the dialogue, it is mentioned in the dialogue by the Santiago that they are going to negotiate separately with the government. But if the government see their views as eloquent than SOMA views, are you not going to take this one as Malone being favored?
Well, it's not a matter of being favored. Malone, there's nothing new. Malone has been negotiating with Juba anyway. So there's nothing. It's just making officially negotiating with the government.
Okay.
It is up to Malone whether he goes to Juba, whether he goes to heaven. That's none of our concern as SOMA. We as SOMA will continue with our struggle. We'll continue addressing the root cause of the conflict in the country. And we'll negotiate with the government based on our understanding of how the issues in our country should be resolved. Malone or anybody else they have their own right. They're South Sudanese. They could negotiate with Kir the way they want. It's up to them. But what we're saying, we will not be a Trojan horse. SOMA will not be a Trojan horse to be used as a forum so some people can crawl back to Juba. No, we will not allow that. That will not happen. But if anybody want to negotiate on their own and go to Juba, let them go to Juba.
What do you think if Sunday John have left SAP and he is by himself?
Yes.
If he form his own party and he is willing to join SOMA, will you zoom him?
Well, that will depend on the leadership, of course, of SOMA. It is not an individual decision that Emmanuel Ajawin can do alone. We will have to sit down as the leadership council of SOMA and see what we can do with Sunday DeJohn. So Sunday DeJohn so far has been very cooperative in terms of the investigation, in terms of other things, and he has not shown any enmity against SOMA. So if he apply, I'm sure the leadership of SOMA will have to look into his application. But of course, we'll talk by then when that happens. But what is important here is that we in SOMA, we have the trust of our people. We are confident. We are the leadership of SOMA that we know now. It is a leadership that is not carried out by the position. They're not tempted by the lofty position the government is trying to offer. No, and the government know that very well, that we are there to address the root causes of the country and the conflict amicably. We are not there for quick fixes. We are not there for position seeking. And this is the SOMA you have. The SOMA is solid. The SOMA is strong in its position. And the SOMA that we are leading is a SOMA that will not betray our people for a dime. It is a SOMA that will make sure that if we ink and we sign, and the day you hear that the SOMA has signed an agreement with Kir, that means it will be a true agreement based on addressing the substantive issues, the economic, social, and political ills in our country. And that is when you will know that truly an agreement has been signed. So
let me ask you this, because Madida bring this argument back to be very solid. If Kir accepts to sign peace with you and tell you, okay, Emmanuel Ajawin, you know what? All these root causes will be addressed at home, but not international court. Will you accept?
We will not accept, of course. That's why we have the Sanegidio Forum. If we wanted, we would think that the issue could be addressed at home, we would have crawled back to J1, we'll be dining and whining with Kir in J1.
What about if Kir said, you know what? Pack your luggage and go wherever you go. If you think you are going to international court, I have give you a platform. Come home, we talk at home.
Kir has no right to give anybody a platform, and it's not up to him to give us any platform. We will continue to struggle. If he does accept through the mediation, of course, to our terms, then we have an agreement. But if he does not accept the terms that we are putting forth, then the struggle continues. Let me give you an example, Paul. When Nimeri was the president and Dr. John rebelled against him, Nimeri sent a lot of envoys to go and talk to Dr. John. Galo Dr. John will be given a vice president if you decide to abandon the army struggle and come. Because I said, no, it's not a matter of what Dr. John want. It is what the people want, of the people of the Sudan. We want to create a new Sudan based on a new political dispensation. Garang never went in. When Intifada came with Swaradab also reached out into Dr. John that you better come and you join the government. Dr. John refused. And you come also and have election. Election that you're talking about, Bull, is not the first time. In 1985, when Swaradab took over, he invited the SPLM and said, we are holding election in a year time. So you come and participate in the elections. Garang said, no, it's not an issue of elections. We have fundamental issues that need to be addressed. And Garang continued with the struggle. Sadiq al-Mahdi came. Many peace talks were held in Addis Ababa. They did not agree. So John continued with the struggle until Bashir came. And then almost after how many years since Bashir took power, 89 until 2005, that is when an agreement was signed. Because that's only then the fundamental issues upon which SPLM took up armed struggle were addressed by the CPA. So we, in SOMA, we are not going to crawl to Juba. If Kir rejects, we'll continue with our struggle until we'll have somebody one day who will say that, Jama, there's a really serious problem in the country. You guys, let's sit down and address. Then we'll sign an agreement. So
our time is
up to Kir to tell us to come to Juba.
Okay, our time is running out. You talk about 3 million. Why is 3 million awarded for a criminal court while you guys have not yet come to the conclusion? You guys have not yet addressed the root cause of the conflict. Why did you talked about 3 million? Can you explain it? How did 3 million came about?
No, I think you didn't get me there. 3 million was the money that the United States of America paid to the establishment of the hybrid court. Abu Sanjo made a report on the ethnic cleansing and the conflict in the country. And he named people in the government and in opposition both that they felt that they were responsible. So what did the African Union do head of the states council? Head of the states. They established a hybrid court that will consist of international judges and national judges of South Sudan. And they'll be sitting probably in Addis Ababa, like the Sierra Leone Tribunal into war crime. So the U.S. paid the money to this AU for them to establish the court. So it has nothing to do with us.
Thank you for really making clarification about that. Because I was thinking why the money is awarded to hybrid court while the South Sudanese SOMA and the government have not yet finished negotiation, so we can know if this one will be taken to the court.
It's for justice and accountability alone.
Okay. Thank you, Ambassador, for
You're welcome.
Thank you. Madid and Isaac, I give you the floor.
Go ahead, Abraham. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you guys go ahead. I have a question, Emmanuel. There's a lot of people are writing me. They really like the show and they want to be a part of the show. So, what do you feel like? I
think we have exhausted the issues that I came for. So I will not spoil it by getting into interaction with the people. So if you guys have no more further questions, get into 11:30 here, and I have other commitment tomorrow morning. So if you have nothing to any more questions, then we can close the show.
Yeah, thank you. And now I'm done. So thank you so much, Isaac. If you want to, so we can wrap up the show.
Okay, I will start with Joseph also. Joseph also, we are not a media of regime of Juba, as you put it, Juba regime. We are a public media platform that can be used by anyone. We don't differentiate who is to come to us here. So please withdraw your statement. The platform is open to everybody, and those who are who need to join the show, it is our rules that if we have an interview, we don't invite people. Just write your own analysis, and sometimes when we can come back for analysis, you can answer. Like we will not stop here. We may be hunting down the government officials, those who were participating in Rome, and those who were partners, like the other factions, those who are interested and want to come and talk to the public. They are welcome, and then the public will make judgment. So thank you so much for being with us, and I really appreciate Ambassador Mulana Ajawin for being honest and take the time to take us through all the process that you have been doing in Rome. Before we close down, I will give you the floor for your last remarks, and then we will close down from there. Thank you.
No, thank you, Brother Madid. Thank you, Brother Isaac, and thank you, Brother Bull. It's always my pleasure to be with you in the Lex State Media, and also to interact with your audience who have come and faithfully logged in almost for almost 3 hours to listen to the issues that we are raising. If the issues that we are raising are not important, our people will not be coming and spending 3 hours listening to us. So I thank you for hosting me once again, and I think the debate was constructive, and we hope that we will continue this kind of open discussion between us, so that we could inform our audience correctly, and also to be able to dispel misinformation. Our message to the people of South Sudan from SOMA is that we are committed to the political change and democratic dispensation in our country. We are committed to addressing the root causes of the conflict in our country. We will not reach any agreement without addressing the fundamentals that we think are behind the crisis in our country. We also want the people of South Sudan to stand behind SOMA as the opposition that is the voice of the voiceless, and the voice of the downtrodden people of South Sudan. I call upon the youth to organize rather than sitting down and watching what is happening. What is happening in our country is not a movie. It is a political reality. It is a matter of destiny. So we, the youth, they must be active and take an active participation. Active participation means organizing themselves into political organizations that they do think will contribute to resolving the social economic ills in our country. At the present time, we believe SOMA as an alliance do have ideas, do have political programs, do have economical programs, do have social program for reconstructing a new republic, a new South Sudan, based on equality, based on justice, based on freedom. So my message is organize yourselves, join us, be with us together. It is your destiny that you need to determine. So with that, my brothers in the studio, I thank you very much, and I wish you a good day, a good night to those who are watching in Juba, and let it not only be when there's a meeting in Rome that you invite me, but also there are other important issues. So I will look forward also for you inviting me on other pertinent issues where we could also discuss, because we believe as a new leader, as a new generation, that we are the servants of our people. We are not arrogant that we do not come and talk to our people because we are minded kid kabir folk. No, you know. But we believe, our people need to listen. Leaders must be humble. And I always conclude by saying this, that Jesus himself washed the feet. And when the disciples were feeling ashamed, he told them, if I have to lead you, I also have to be your servant. I'm not saying we are comparing ourselves with Jesus in SOMA, but we're saying we have something in common. We have the humbleness to be able to help our people, because it is the people that matter. And the issues that we have raised are fundamental issues. We hope the government will go home and consult and come to their senses that it is the people of South Sudan that are sovereign. So a constitution that is permanent must be given to the people of South Sudan in a referendum to vote on that constitution. And also, we hope that they will also accept the correct diagnosis of the disease that has been infecting the soul of South Sudan. That is, that the conflict in the country, it is political in nature, that has degenerated to an ethnical aspect of it. And we hope comes January and the new year will be a new start altogether, where South Sudan could move ahead, where we all, could work together, building our country, so that the refugees could return back home, so that those who seek justice, they will get justice through the various courts that we will establish. We want the youth to wake up. It is your destiny. Stand up for your rights. Thank you very much, and good night, my dear colleagues.
Thank you so much, Mulana, Ambassador Emmanuel Ajawin. Abraham?
Thank you, Ambassador Emmanuel. I appreciate you for coming in. This is a wonderful year. Definitely, we will be hosting different show, and you can come in and react with the South Sudanese. So this is a wonderful show. We appreciate him for coming in, and we will not stop from here. We will start. If I don't see you, I will say that happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Yes.
Hopefully,
Happy New Year.
We will do the show before that. But if I don't see you, I want to wish you and your family Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And also, too, I want to send my condolences to your family and to the rest for what happened. I say it's really sad. I just send my heartfelt condolences to the family.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much, guys. Our viewers, the show has come to an end, and I appreciate your presence. You've been with us, a good fan, for 3 hours and 15 minutes. And I appreciate also the guests and my colleagues, my friends, Abraham Bolmakur and Abraham Adit. Thank you so much, guys. The show has come to an end. May God bless you and bless the whole South Sudan. Thank you.
It's your boy Young Ajawin that time. Until leg stand and punchy America. Banyi ban until leg stand and punchy America. Banyi ban walk on your leg. Kankaro what on a watching. Oga leg gear wow leg. Panda with ya punchy America. Banyi ban chingatongo pandon kujura via cheka. Paku panda gear what ya be $20. stay Panchi America, Panji Dwal, Panapan Pantaleg stay Panchi America, Panji Dwal, Panapan walk on the lake, Kankaru, what on a watch, Oga level leg, Gear, Wow, leg, Panda with Yay, Panchi America, Panya Dwalaman, Chingatongo Pandon.